Okay, it is 6:31 on May 13th. I'd like to call this meeting of the Woodstock Village Board of Trustees to order. The first item on the agenda is additions and deletions to the posted agenda. I have a couple, but does anybody else have any?
I have a few depending on what you have, so do you want to go first?
Yeah, so one of the things was just because in the discussions, just because I think it'll be a little faster, and I know that we've got some people with that might be calling in. I want to move the Halloween discussion up to the first one on the discussion. I got a couple of emails from people who were hoping to join.
Okay.
And then we need to add to this, we have a passive coverage letter that the trustees need to vote on whether or not to approve and sign. So I think that can go on votes, probably go last on votes.
Yep.
So we'll add that under, so we've got the Zach's Place, accessible spot, the nomination, and then we can put it after that. And then I believe we need a brief executive session to discuss.
So the session is already
It's already on there? Oh, okay, my bad, then.
You also want to add, Dr. Coburn is asking for a side work permit.
Okay,
And the trustees have a paper in front of them, so if you want to add that under votes.
permits.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll add that after the Ottawa Foundation banner.
Yeah.
That's okay with everyone?
Well, here, why don't we do this first?
There's other people here. Yeah,
Oh, anyone else? Do?
yeah,
Oh, yeah.
And then we can also take off the Vermont 100 endurance
That's
race
right.
permits. Is that they'll be for the town of the village.
okay, anything else, anyone?
That's all I have.
Okay, in that case, let's move on to citizens' comments. Are there any citizen comments?
Not seeing any online.
Okay. Then let's move on to the reports. Eric, can you give us your manager's report, please?
Yeah, a few things. One, so we started some line paving, line painting today. So if you saw it kind of around the green, we did the parking spots, we did the language. We did not do the middle line, so that's not being replaced as of right now. There's a conversation around the past. So that is where we're at there. So I appreciate everyone's patience with kind of the traffic flow around the green today. Second is we are finishing the hydrant flushing. The last one will be at 2 a.m. today in the village. So if you're in the village up at 2 a.m., you may see some discrepancy of water. We had a small issue earlier this week with one of the hydrants in the village that kind of caused, or said maybe last week, a lack of water for about 45 minutes. It was just we opened up an extra pipe to get more flow in. That was quite dirty, so it took a long time for the water kind of become clean. So that was the issue. So again, we apologize for any inconvenience and not communicating that ahead of time. It was kind of a surprise to us, but we're happy to have the clean water there. The select board closed on the water system, I think, for the last time we met. So the last 13 days or so have been kind of a lot of us internally getting up and running, work on the day-to-day stuff, and also on the back end, financial answer questions. I will say publicly now, the select board is not entertaining any new water connections until they have a grasp on kind of what needs to be done with water connections and come up with a policy to kind of implement any new connections. So just people are asking now, we're going to hold off until we know for sure how best to go about adding new connections. That's that. So kind of attached that, I want to thank the entire finance office for the water system, but also taxes were due last Friday. I believe they said they processed somewhere between 1,500 and 1,600 individual checks that came through and a very small staff and a very small time period. So I want to thank Robert Densmore, Tricia Martell, Meg Cohen, Kitty Forrest for doing a lot of extra work. A lot of them aren't in the finance office, and they all learn how to process tax bills to help out, especially on knowledge of the hard work they did to help Robert and us out. Last but not least, we have 2 new hires coming on board. So we have them both starting Tuesday, the 26th or 27th, whatever day that is. One in the finance office to take place accounts receivable, ambulance billing. They come from another municipality. They've experienced in Nemrick, they've experienced with payroll, accounts payable. So we're very excited to have them join us and help us out. And we also have a new hire for Public Works. For those of you who don't know, we've been short 2 people since about last June. This is the first successful hire we've had since then. Again, experiencing municipalities, so we're very excited to have him join us as well. So in 2 weeks, we'll have 2 new staff members, and we're excited about that.
Great.
Sure, so we've still got a lot of striping to do.
Correct.
Could we put that post back on the listserv?
That is happening?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
Okay.
And then, I asked you about this, on Elm Street, where there was some work that had to be done and the road still needs to be fixed.
Yeah, so that's on our high priority list. I think I said to you, and I'll say to everyone publicly, the shop just opened about 2 weeks ago to get the material to do the
Okay.
paving. Then we had all the rain last week, and then it was trying to put together, enough projects at the same time to make it worth all the effort. So that's on the list, but it will be done before Friday.
Awesome, thank you. Trustees, do you have any other questions about the manager's report? Please.
No, it's actually, I should have brought this up sooner and I forgot. I just am curious, what's going on with the Justin Morrill sign? That-
Morgan,
Yeah, Morgan sign that used to be down by,
oh, in front of the Solstice.
yeah. Do we know what's going on with that?
I do not, I'm looking for it.
I know
what it
is.
Yeah,
I think the last I heard was they took it down because they didn't think that was actually the house.
okay.
But
I'm
that's
just,
a-
I'm just curious, like whatever
Yeah.
happened with that? I haven't
Um,
heard anything and,
But I know that the state is the one that manages the historic markers.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was like the same thing with when we lost the one on the green and we were like, when is it coming back? We don't know.
Yeah, I know there were some issues with different signs that they thought were incorrect or mislabeled. They were looking into that, could be one of them, but
Okay.
I'll reach out and find out.
thank you.
Lisa, did you have something?
No.
Oh. Moving on to the, financial report. Eric, walk us through what you got. please.
Yes, you have the NIM report in front of you. As always, the NIM report kind of a, in the moment, look at the financials. We pulled a new projection, last Friday. The village is looking at projected end of the year was about $11,000, in the surplus account. That's before we do any journal entries, if we have to move money around. But so for a $1.5 million budget, that's not the worst case in the world. We're projecting that way, so that's kind of where we're at right now. But I'm happy to answer any individual questions I can on the actual different accounts if anyone has any. I think Jeffrey does.
I have a few, under, revenue, 2-4022, curb cut permit. If they're so high, I'm just curious.
That is very high. I will think of that. I'm not sure why that's a significant increase.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Way significant, yeah.
Okay.
So that's one question. Next one is, questions down under police revenue 2-406, 4068, courthouse parking. Now, the budget, 9,270, I think that's the standard one that we're getting from the courthouse.
Yes.
But in addition, we have $40,000 coming because of the move, the loss of the parking lot to the court.
Yeah, so some of that's gonna be reflected in the miscellaneous police revenue, that 14,000 over 2,500. And I'll look where the rest of the money is. I know we were receiving it. I'll just see where they've been depositing it, if it's been deposited in the wrong accounts.
Okay, well, it looks like 10,000 was in the courthouse parking.
Yeah.
19,000, not high. But there was the other 30,000 was my question. And we're getting close to the end of the fiscal year. When do we get the highway state aid? That should be coming in soon, right?
So we don't have.
We transfer over. to
We don't
town.
do that anymore. So originally it would come in, as a revenue on your side, then as an expense on your side, then we move it over to the town. So
Right.
now we just pass it right through the town. So you won't see it as a revenue or an expense on
Okay,
your.
so that shouldn't show up. on here.
Yeah, and going forward, it won't anymore. Just this
Okay.
last year. we
That
had it.
answers, that would be that, thank you. What else do I have? Okay. The legal fees, a lot of that is actual, but not just being paid by the village, correct?
Yeah, some of that money will be transferred out, yes.
Okay. That makes sense. And, I think those are, well. Police administration,
Yes.
I mean, that's way over 100%. We're having, it's still too much to go. What happened there?
That is, when we made, Sergeant Christopher Keith acting, chief, we started paying him out of that salary line. Yeah, so if you look, further down at salaries and wages,
Yeah, there,
25031
yeah,
that's when 63% because Chris's salary was moved. So that's where the savings is.
I get it. He's working. Thank you. Just to understand, and, the last one I think I have, town police services under, 2-5037503. We have budgeted 0 for that year. And, yeah, like $1,000. What's that about?
So that's all gonna be transferred to one of the village lines. So as we know, when we redid the contract for police town village services last year, we kind of moved away from allocating a certain percentage to each account and kind of had a one block number. So all these will be transferred over to a village police line before the end of the year. So that'll be zeroed out and moved over to probably I'm not sure the blue line is on this one.
Yeah, it's just a heading. Confusing.
Yeah, so it'll probably be transferred over to 25035 503.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Those are all my questions. Thank you. Yep.
I just have one question. Planning and zoning, the revenue is at 56% of what we had expected it. Is that actual, or is that just people aren't putting in as many zoning?
So it's been a very slow zoning year. We actually had picked up the last 3 weeks or so. So this number probably does not represent. I know last week I think we received 6 or 7 separate applications, permits for the village. So when those will be processed, that number will increase.
Okay. Do you think it's just a seasonal /
Seasonal and economic.
Spring is usually.
Yeah.
And an economic issue as well. People
Well,
are
yeah.
slow into, yeah.
Thank you. Trustees, do you have any other questions for Eric about?
No.
Then let's move on to votes. The first one on our list here is the alumni grade permit.
That you?
Is there somebody here?
Yeah.
Come on up. And I think we can go ahead and do the use of the green at the same time.
Yes.
The alumni
Yeah,
parade, is that okay with
fine.
everyone? Yeah. Okay, so go ahead and tell us your name and then
Everyone, the vice president for the Alumni Association.
and so tell us about your parade permit. So where all is the parade gonna go?
It will start out by the elementary school and come out, go down Central Street, down to the Cannon, turn and back up. And it'll be the same normal route as you always have.
So central to the Cannon and then down Pleasant and
And then it
then,
goes up Upper Pleasant. And comes back on the street and then around the green.
So any changes? If,
I think that.
thank you.
How long does it usually take? And they were like 45 minutes?
It's
30.
usually about that.
and do you have any animals, with horses or anything?
We have the horses.
Okay, and what is your cleanup plan for that?
We have people that follow behind with
Okay.
the golf cart.
Awesome. And what is there gonna be signs to let people know ahead of time what's closed and what the detours are? Work
There
that
will
out.
be signs put out by the rec center.
Okay.
And down by, usually it's down by, Worthy Kitchen,
Okay,
so it's on both ends of the town.
okay, so if somebody comes in on Route 4 during the parade, where do they go? Do they have to go up High Street to get around?
They know if it stops. It stopped completely for a period down by the cannon, and it also stopped out by the rec center for a period of time.
Okay,
A lot of times they'll send them down River Street or eastbound,
okay.
because I also help out with that.
So it's not that this traffic's gonna be stopped for a full hour, it's
No.
as things open up, okay,
That's things open up for traffic. will be-
okay.
One of the most fun parades in the year.
Anything else, trustees, from this? No. Okay. I'll make a motion to approve the parade permit, for the June 14th. From 2 to 4 PM. Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Is there any public comment? No? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. You can stay up there and we'll do your next permit.
Wait,
Go ahead, Kelly, stay up there.
One more, green.
You got one more. Okay, so this is use of green permit for the same day from 9 to 4. Looks like you're gonna have an announcer stand. Will the stand be on the green or is it gonna be on the?
It's actually.
Okay, which end? Where?
We use, 2 sections of staging
Okay,
with a ladder going up with railing around the top, so that the person announcing every parade and every float that come through, they announce who it is.
and what part of the green is that gonna be on?
It's directly in line with, Route 106. So as they come out through, they can see them.
Oh, okay,
Kelly, what sort of independent vendors?
Basically it's just gonna be like the alumni that has a tent there with burgers or hot dogs or.
Anything different than the past?
No,
and do you all need electricity for that?
we will be using some, yes.
Okay.
Can you get the scaffolding down at the end of the event?
Everything will be taken down.
Could see kids having fun with that at night.
Oh, it's a busy day.
Okay. I would make a motion, or I'm making a motion to approve the use of green permit for the Woodstock Alumni Association on on June 14th from 9 to 4 PM. Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any further discussion from the trustees? Any public comment? Okay, then, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Now you can sit down, Cal. Thank you. Next one on our list here is the plein air painting from Artistry. Is there anyone from Artistry here?
Yes, Lisa.
Oh, okay, Lisa. Hello, thanks for
Hello.
joining us.
Sure.
Can you please tell us about your permit? This is the use of the green permit for, what day is this? For the May 30th, Friday, May 30th.
Friday,
from
May
9 Yeah. Okay, can you tell us a little bit more about your permit request?
Sure. Yeah, I work at Artistry and help to coordinate a program called Plein Air Painters. We run from usually the last Friday in May through mid-September, meeting at a different place every Friday morning. Typically, we kick off the season at Artistry and end the season at Artistry, but we feel like we've overdone that a bit through the last 4 or 5 years, and we're looking for a new exciting place for them to paint as a kickoff event. So some of them have expressed an interest in the green, so we submitted the application.
And it looks like you've got about 10 to 15 people.
Yeah, typically about 25 people sign up for the program, but we don't get everyone every Friday. They come and go as they can.
Okay. And tell me about the setup that you'll have and how long will it take to set up and break down those things?
Oh, no time at all. They typically arrive around 9. They bring all their own materials and easels. They set them up. They're very quiet and self-sufficient. And I just wander around and make sure everyone has what they need. Sometimes they need a bathroom, but we can probably use the library, I think. But they bring their own water. They're really just looking for beautiful things to paint.
Or town hall. You can use the bathroom in town hall.
Oh,
as well.
sure. Yeah, thank you.
Welcome.
Or the welcome center. So many options.
Okay.
And do you need to use electricity at all?
No.
Trustees, do you have any questions for Lisa?
I guess my one, what are your, if it rains, do you have plans or do you cancel?
A lot of them have an umbrella set up on their easel. Yeah, they're pretty seasoned in this and they decide whether or not to come. If it's pouring, I will cancel. If it's just drizzly, they often love to paint with those conditions, so
Thank you.
thank
Trustees,
you.
do any- Okay, I'd like to make a motion to approve this use of the green permit on Friday, May 30th from 9 to noon from Artistry. Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any further discussion? Is there any public comment on this permit? All in favor of this motion, say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you very much, Seton.
Okay, next item on our agenda is the Glad Rag banner. Is there somebody from Glad Rags to talk to us today? Okay, well, we can skip over that one, and if they join us later, then we can talk to them later. Next item on the agenda is the Woodstock Rec Center Apples and Crafts Fair banner. Is there somebody from the rec center to talk to us? Okay, well, we can do the same thing with them if they show up later. Next item is the Ottakuchi Health Foundation banner. Anyone from the Ottakuchi Health Foundation with us today? It's like I'm doing a seance. No one's responding. Oh, no, okay. Same thing. And Eric, if those folks don't show up, you ask Kitty to get in touch with them, please,
Yeah.
and just let them know that they're welcome to show up at our next meeting. Okay, so then after that, we added Dr. Coburn's, sidewalk permit request. Trustees, do you have that?
Yes,
In addition, do you have it? You need it?
you should have a copy. No, they were handed out copies.
Oh, there's one.
If not, I'm copy down from there.
I might actually look. Hold on.
Jeffrey?
Or we can share. Okay. Okay, Bob, do you wanna come up and talk to us, please? And give us your name and where you're from, please.
My name is Bob Crow. I operate Dr. Coburn's Farm. Excuse my back. And thank you to the board for considering my request for sidewalk dining, very similar to last year. I'd like to put requested that we put 10 tables on the Elm Street side and 5 tables on the Central Street side. And like last year, last year was the first time we included, this is the 5th year we're doing it. Last year was the first time we included the barrier, obviously for regulation purposes, and we'll do the same this year. I think one of the critical considerations here and concerns is make sure that we have plenty of space between the barrier and the sidewalk for not only pedestrian traffic, but probably more importantly, ADA disability. And I think we do, and the way it's set up, it's going to be set up similar to last year. It'll be about, when the barrier is set up, it'll be approximately a little over 6 feet between the barrier and the sidewalk on Elm Street, and 8 feet, because the sidewalk is larger on Central Street, about 8 feet between the barrier and the end of the curb.
Well, Bob, you know, we talked about the problem by the tree.
We'll not be putting a table there.
I have a whole bunch
Leave
of
that phase
questions.
blank.
Okay, well, just-
Well, that's
yeah.
just one that I.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I have a question about the barrier.
Okay.
I talked to, Chief, with Chris, and, I'm concerned about the barrier because it's a rope, and that's a safety hazard and easily can be tripped over, as well as lights. And I know this is the only eatery of this kind in the village, but I have a lot of concerns about people tripping over either a rope or a set of lights and, what's your official title? Chief O'Keefe also had concerns as well as talking to David Green, so I'm hoping we can figure out an alternative to that because it's really a safety hazard.
But what was the last thing that was taking hazard?
The rope,
Oh, the road.
the lights,
Oh, okay,
whatever.
Let me see if I can't fix that. That was relatively low to the ground. last
Yeah,
year.
but you can, one person goes over, it's gonna be it's at knee height. And it's,
No, it's gonna be higher. It's
but
gonna be higher.
it's
Shoulder
not
height.
safe. It's not shoulder
It'll be
height.
shoulder height. It will be this year, because I'm putting stanchions out, which I haven't put up yet, but we will.
How many feet?
Hmm?
How many feet?
Up in the air,
Yeah,
up to probably shoulder line, probably 4.5 feet.
but then you have to worry about people running in, I'm just thinking, people running into with their heads or wherever their bodies are. I know it's a difficult situation to think about, but someone can get hurt with one of those, and unfortunately, you're the only person in the village who's doing this. So it makes it a little difficult to try to make sure we're doing it safely. And anything that's a barrier, and I don't know the answer. Anything that's a barrier that way, whether it's shoulder height or knee height, is still a safety risk. Because someone could bang into it, someone could fall over it. I don't know the answer. But I'm just saying that I have a concern about that. And I think that maybe I'm trying to find the best way to, and I'm not sure what it is, to work this out so that we don't have safety concerns about that. Because on Elm Street, it's fine. On Central Street, it's fine. You have plenty of space.
Mhm.
But it's still a problem, I should say, but to me, it's a safety concern. No matter what height it's at, and I don't know the alternative. I don't know if you have anything to add.
I think if it's ADA compliant,
It's not.
no, I know, but if we could find out, and I don't know what that is off the top of my head or what the answer to that, but if there was something that, fit within those parameters, it would be better, I would say that would be a safe practice.
What's not ADA compliant?
Well, the 3 feet is, but the 5 feet is what we're voting. And so when we vote on this, we also need to, as we've done previously, like with the sidewalk sale, we also need to take a vote on if we're gonna approve this, we also need to approve that, we're giving him a variance on the 5-foot rule. Because that's what it is in our ordinance. The national one is 3 feet, but our ordinance says 5, so if we approve this, we have to also provide a variance for that.
Got it.
So that's what I was talking about.
Are you talking about now the space between the barrier and curb?
The space between the barrier and anything. So if you have,
It's more than 5.
yeah, if you have, well,
Now with the tree.
no, not with the tree. That's-
He just said he wasn't gonna put a
Yeah.
table there.
And I would imagine that between here and here, that's probably not 5 feet either. Between like one of the parking meters, that would be,
Probably about 50 inches.
yeah, I mean, it's not 5 feet. The point is, if we approve this, we also have to provide a variance for the 5 feet. Because the rule in the village is 5 feet, so if you want a different clearance, if you want it to be less, if you don't want it to be 5 feet, then we need to provide you a variance. If part of your proposal is you're gonna keep 5 feet from the barrier to any point, any fixed structure, whether it's a tree or a parking meter or a lamppost, that's fine, because that sort of takes care of that concern right there. But if you want less than a 5-foot clearance, we need to vote on giving you a variance on that law.
Mhm.
And we can't go lower than 3 feet because that's the national ADA requirement.
It'll be more than 3 feet, no matter what we do.
My thing is different. My thing is the concern both in ADA and public safety about what do we do on a sidewalk.
What's the ADA that you're concerned about? It has-
If somebody has for example, if someone is in a wheelchair and they run into that rope, something could happen, you know, a barrier. It's just, my thing is, we don't have anything in the village to look at, to say, okay, this is the right type of barrier for alcohol. Everybody else has got a parking lot or they've got fenced in. This is the only location.
Well, at Christmas time, when we have wassail, you have to actually like string it off. You have to rope it off.
Yeah, that's
Right.
what they're doing. So in terms
Right.
of the alcohol, that is
It-
sufficient for the state. So if there's another ADA thing that you're concerned about, let us know. Like an actual, like, if there's an ADA thing that says you can't have. I don't know.
If I could
I'm just trying to,
clarify, I don't think Lisa's saying it's an ADA thing,
Okay.
it's a safety overall
Okay, got
issue.
Thank
Is
you.
that, for what is it, Lisa? Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, I got confused. Yeah, to me, it's a safety issue and I'm just giving this to this group. There's something else with them.
OYC does have something similar, but they're actually on the grass and there's no one walking by, so
Yeah.
it's an area.
my concern, I have a similar concern, but more because it's what I do, dogs and strollers, like when people have their dogs out there, it makes me really uncomfortable to walk my dog by it or to see any dog walk by because like, it doesn't matter how well intentioned you are and your dog is like, somebody's gonna bark at someone else. And that's my biggest concern is like, if you're gonna let people sit outside with their dogs, I don't know if that's like an additional liability or whatever, but like, I don't want any dog walker to have to avoid an entire section of the village because you don't know until you turn that corner whether there's a dog or not. And like, I've had that issue where my dog has a dog come at it. And it's just dog ownership, but like it's a concern. I mean, that's something that could get tangled up. And then you add food and it's a whole other thing.
Well, I can't stop the people from bringing it. I mean, that's actually makes it so popular is the people coming in with their dogs. That's one of the few places that they can sit outside. And with, as you know, you can't have a dog inside. You can't have an animal restaurant. So what do? They want to sit outside with their dog and enjoy their cocktail and or their dinner and or both. So.
Yeah, but when you have to walk a dog by, it's not, that's their right to do that, but I think it's a legitimate safety concern. And again, it's people who live there here walking their dogs, and if they have to go around, I mean, and if there's cars there, you can't take your dog around into the street all of a sudden. So that's another thing. It just puts the onus on people who are just walking by. So that's a significant concern to me, because it's so tight. I mean, even when it's 3 feet or 5 feet, it's really tight when you add a dog or a stroller or a dog in a stroller, which sometimes happens as well. And those are the concerns that I've heard from people as well, is that it's tough. And then when you get by the tree, because the tree is cut out, if you have a stroller or a wheelchair, you get stuck in that. So it forces people to move over or just not take that route. So those are my concerns, and and last year I also had the concern that it looked like this when it first started, and a month later, it did not look like that. It looked really unkempt.
Yeah, I mean, that's, and I guess, you know, you told me today, you understood, you know, that people move chairs around and things, but what I saw was if something got moved, like the plants got moved or a thing got moved, it didn't get put back. So I know staff, I get all that, but a better policing of the area daily would be really helpful because there's so little space. And even one of the planters, if it moves 6 inches into the sidewalk. And I think that's just education for your staff. And so, you know, different times of day, it looked very different.
And
You know,
is that air conditioning unit working?
Which one?
This is on Central Street. There's an air conditioning unit coming out of the side.
That is what.
Okay, does that drip water on people that are sitting there? Okay.
Is there a way that Bob could do something about that tree and maybe level that piece of curving
No.
out?
No.
Well, he's doing something about the tree by not having it at the table there.
Well, so does that mean that the rope ends here and tucks in and then starts again?
Yes.
Would have to, yes.
Okay, so then that would mean here, there will be nothing.
It'll
here.
stop, it'll let it stop.
Stop and start.
That's not his problem.
No, but you can't really modify any of that.
Well, you could put a piece of slate down there and. put that
Well,
out.
and that gets into, I wouldn't want to do anything that the Department of Works didn't sign off on.
So,
Right, but what if you looked into that, like putting down seriously like a piece of slate? And leveling that out to make it so it's a smoother transition.
I wouldn't want to put somebody at risk with a wheelchair.
And it's also just the fact that there's a big old tree there. I
Yeah.
mean, You're just,
Well, I think there's options and I don't see why we can't.
It's not a problem, but they're all like that. Yeah, sidewalk is received. That's the real life, but you think of that over the Monday on.
so,
Yeah.
I'd like to say that I walk by there every day during summer.
Mhm.
Usually on my way to the village butcher to get lunch. And what I observe is some problems, but I observe people really enjoying being out there.
I agree.
And I observe people who have dogs enjoying having a place to have lunch
Mhm.
and still be outside. And what I would ask is, I would like to see this continue. And I would just ask for more, staying on top of keeping things where they're supposed to be and not falling over. If you have flowers out there, keeping them in good shape. In other words, just your staff needs to be more on top of.
Yeah, those plots were very light, and that was done, you'll have to recall last year, there was last minute that we were allowed to do it with.
well, it was the last minute that you asked.
Hmm?
It was the last minute that you asked to have it done.
Yeah, well,
So
Barry was the last minute thing.
Well, it's a state requirement.
Anyway, so what I put out there last year, is we're gonna put better things out there this year, much heavier, flower pots.
You're doing flower pots, not stanchions.
Hmm?
You're doing flower pots, not stanchions,
No, stanchions and flower pots, there'll be small flower pots.
with the
Small
stanchions in them?
stanchions.
Okay, so that's what you really needs to be maintained.
I think I would ask that, let me word this. That because it's where it is, on the sidewalk, that, you know, the public safety or the police department or whatever, observe it, make sure it's the way it should be so that we can keep up with it, because like you said, things get moved, so I would like that, you know, they're going to ask them to observe and make sure everything's where it's supposed to be on a regular basis.
I almost wonder if it makes sense this would be a proposal of allowing it to be on Central but not Elm. You got plenty of space on Central.
No,
You don't have any additional barriers.
We have the awnings on Elm Street, the sun comes down on Central Street, we don't need to see people out there too much. So, if you're not gonna approve it, we're not gonna do it on Central Street alone. Not worth it.
Well, then why do you want to put them out on Central at all?
No, I mean, for the overflow, and during certain times of the day, we do it, but for the majority of the table, the business is on Elm Street. Under the awnings, especially in the rain, if it rains and sprinkles.
I just want to make sure this stays really tight. For last year, I did observe lots of times where it was moved. Pots were moved, plants were moved, tables were moved. And so in the rope, but I mean, I just want to make sure, and I think it's best that we check it on a regular basis. Make sure everything is, and that way staff remembers and everyone, for the safety of everyone. So to have some sort of check once a week.
Was there any incidences there last year that there was?
There were a lot of things moved.
No, I
There
don't,
was a
I'm
wheelchair.
saying,
No, there was.
I'm saying,
No, there was,
incidents.
Police department get any complaints from any of it? Ever? That I recall.
no, there was a wheelchair. They couldn't get through. We got a note
Mhm. Yeah,
and
the
they
wheel
had to go
was-
around. because it was sticking too far out. And then I personally heard from two people with baby carriages with the same problem. The planter was stuck out. So yes, there is a problem. It has been mentioned, but those are the things that I heard about. So,
Those all seem solvable.
Yeah.
So I
very.
think that we
Yeah.
need to be more fair. I moved your pots numerous times when I was walking by, just keep them where they were supposed to be, without causing a fuss. But I think your staff can stay on top of it. I think it's, still a good thing for the village to allow this. And you're gonna raise rope up so it's a higher level so that no one can trip over it. I think that's a great idea, and I think we should move forward with this.
okay, so, I have another additional thing here. I do want to ask the trustees, to have a review done regularly to make sure everything is in place and where it should be. Because, last year it got moved so much, I think it's a separate safety tip to do, and then because of its location. And then, let me ask you this. Sorry, Bob, but I'm gonna ask it. What happens if I'm at Danforth Pewter and I notice everything's out of place?
Then you call Eric. Or you call the police chief, because that needs to be enforced.
Yes, I guess that's the question is, what does the trustees want? Well, I guess, Lisa, what would you want enforcement to be more? Because it's, do you want us to be able to actually go down and tell them they can't allow outdoor seating that day, that they have to fix it by this time, or they were gonna not allow outdoor seating? So I think there has to be some guidance for trustees, or whether you want these guys phone call, knock on the door from my office or the police department or community development and planning.
I think we should start with a warning. Or it's not being followed, and give a chance for it to be rectified.
Well, and this, I mean, this permit already, the conditions already say that we can make changes to this permit at any time.
Right, that's true too.
Permit lapses and all permissions hereunder terminates upon the effective date of any amendment to this section. All permits hereunder are issued subject to change in standards, procedures, and other provisions, and no person shall be entitled to compensation for any expenses need to remain, blah, 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 blah. So,
Well, I think it's for any permit, we should even.
well, yeah, I mean, that's, we already do that.
Yeah, follow through, but this is about, I shouldn't have to be the one to
No,
tell Jeffrey or tell Eric. I'd like to have it just, process.
so are you asking, do you want to make an amendment?
I'm not sure what you mean.
So again, so we're going to vote on two things. First, we have to vote on the permit. Like a yes or no on the permit, and we also have to vote on the variance on the 5 feet. Are you requesting a variance of the 5 feet?
Yes.
Okay, then we have to vote on a request for the variance of 5 feet. So in either one of those motions, well, probably the motion for this, you can add conditions.
I'd like to add conditions.
Yes, so you need to say exactly what you want the conditions to be. And that would be part of our motion, or we can make it a separate motion. I would say it makes more sense to make it part of the motion of this permit. But again, that's something that like, we might vote no on it. I mean, that's a
Yeah,
possibility.
and so this is the first time I've done this.
Yeah.
Walk me through this.
Okay.
I'd like to. I don't know if you can add it in, but have a regular compliance check.
Okay.
And then, if it's out of compliance, when it's being checked, or there's a complaint or a fallen penalty. Or whatever the penalty is.
I don't think
It's
we
a
can
warning.
I don't think we
Yeah,
can.
it's like about like the consequence of what you actually want, the warning is fine, but a warning is still warning if there's no further action after that. So if it's the right of the permit being revoked, if you give me the permission to do that, or if it has to come back to the trustees for a separate meeting, we can do that.
I mean, I think we certainly have precedents where we've done this with the sidewalk sale, where there were people that were out of compliance, and we said, if you're not in compliance, you can either do X or shut down, and they chose to shut down.
Yeah.
So I think that this is no different if we approve a permit and there are certain conditions that we decide we also want to add on to that permit, and they are not, then the permit becomes null and void because you have not lived up to the conditions of the permit.
Is that with a warning first?
I mean, I will,
I think it would be to the chair's point of the, you're out of compliance, it needs to be fixed immediately. If not, then
I mean, we can put a number of days in it or something, but I feel like if this has been happening for this is not new to anyone. This is not,
Yeah.
so, I think it's helpful to have a friendly conversation, but this should all be pretty obvious at this point.
Okay, so you know what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Okay.
but
Thank you.
but you know, I want to hear from Brenda and Jeffrey, obviously.
I'm all for making the variance, waiting for ability to make a motion.
You can make a motion whenever you want.
Well, I move that we, accept the permit, with, a vote on allowing for a variance and a 5-foot rule. And that there be no table
3 feet.
to 3 feet.
Okay.
And that there be no table opposite the tree. So there's plenty of room.
On Elm.
On Elm Street. And that any roping be, a minimum of 52 inches, 4.5 feet. And that this permit be maintained in an orderly manner on a daily basis.
I second.
Okay,
Well, is
wait,
that a
hold on,
condition?
Wait,
Sorry.
I'm sorry. So now it's open for discussion. So discussion.
So is what he's saying, is that a
Go, ask
condition?
him.
I don't know. I'm asking, because I don't know the
Yeah, well,
language.
any permit, what we're saying is we want to be on top of. Any
Right.
permit is a condition, it's conditional, based on what you're permitted.
And at that time, it stops? Or you get a warning?
You get, a warning.
Well, what happens after the first warning?
The permit can be withdrawn.
Revoked.
And it can be revoked by the board, if we so choose. But let's start with a warning, and hopefully things will be maintained in the manner we're.
So it can be revoked by error. Assuming something happens and we don't have a meeting scheduled for 3 weeks. No, I'm just, you know,
This is ridiculous.
No, I think it should be revoked by the board.
okay, is there any public comment on this permit? Seeing as none, all in favor say aye.
Is that your second?
There, yeah, we already had that. So
Okay.
all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? 3-1 motion carries. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is the Zach's Place second accessible parking spot. Is there someone here to talk about that?
Chris.
Oh, okay. And do we have any paperwork on that? Or Eric?
No, they just asked a question through Lisa, I believe.
Oh, okay. I kind of want to talk to them about this.
Well, Chris has talked to them quite a bit.
Okay.
So.
Oh.
it-
Yeah, go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, the reasoning behind this and why it's come up now is the number of people that
Yeah, what?
do Triborough Park when they're
Tribu?
there, whatever that, Tribu Park. And the number of cars have increased greatly on those parking spaces, and there's numerous people with special needs. And they are not able to park in those spots. And between 12:30 and 1:30 or 12 and 1, that's when a lot of people arrive because they're. So Chris, here's the,
And
we
tell us
turn
who
off
you
the
are.
lights.
Crystal Keith, interim police chief.
I'll get the light.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Watch the fire.
Yeah.
that's better.
Thank you.
So the question was raised to create a designated handicap parking space out front of Zach's Place. I'll try to do my best here to sort of work around the photo. So what you're looking at is a picture directly out front of Zach's Place, where that sign is on the post with the green and black Park Mobile sign underneath it. Behind that is the driveway to Zach's Place. And then further, just east of that is a drop-off zone only, no parking handicap spot. So you can see the white diagonal painted lines. That is not an actual parking space, it's for drop-off only. There is a curb cut out for that. And then after the driveway, there's a second handicap drop-off zone spot. Not a designated parking space, drop-off only. So right now, there's 2 drop-off spaces. What you can't see in the photo is just west of the diagonal drop-off spot, the painted lines, there's 1 parking space on the corner that's open to anyone. Zach's place was requesting a designated handicap spot, not just drop-off, but an actual parking space. So in addition to the 2 drop-off zones in the drive, they wanted the designated handicap space. I've looked at it and I know that their activities there have increased a lot. There's a lot more folks from out of town that are now using services there, so I guess their pickup and drop off and parking has greatly increased from what I'm being told. I have really no strong opinion on adding that handicap space. So they've asked me to bring it to you for discussion.
So it would, I just want to make sure I'm understanding. So if I'm looking at, so if I was standing here and I turned to my left, there would be a handicap parking space.
Yes, so the drive, if you're standing in the drive looking
Yeah.
to the left, there's a drop-off zone,
And
and
then
then right after that, there's a regular parking space, and that's metered, correct? There's a metered parking space there.
But it's handicapped.
No.
No,
okay.
they want to make it handicapped
Where's the 1 handicap parking space?
Further down.
further down,
So it's on the other side of those hash marks.
But it's a pickup.
but it's a drop-off zone, so where you see that handicap sign,
So there is no handicap parking.
the not designated, no.
No, there
Ah,
used to,
those are
there used to
drop-off.
be, there used to be. There used to be a handicap parking spot where those striped lines are right now,
But a parking spot or a pickup drop off?
a parking spot.
Okay, so right now, in front of Zach's place, there's 2, there are handicap signs, but they're for drop off only, they're not actual parking spots. If what I'm being told is the drop off area can get very busy, and people are kind of confused as to where they can park, or they're driving around in circles waiting for those spots to open, the drop off spots, and then to come back a second or third time. So they were looking to take that corner spot that you can't see just west of this the hash marks, and make that a designated handicap parking
So
space.
Chris, I also heard that this is partly a consequence of increased parking because of the people gathering in the
That
tribal
used to
park.
be a handicap parking spot.
Is that
and I don't
true?
know whether-
I can't really, there's not enough probably information there for me to be able to confirm that.
I have anecdotal, like from people like my daughter gets dropped off and, stuff like that.
You heard that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I have heard that. No one's come to the station to make any sort of formal complaint, but there's been, I guess you could call it rumor in the village that those spots have been taken up more frequently due to the activity in the park.
Which is only for an hour each day.
It's an hour to 2 hours.
Hour to 2 hours,
Yeah.
yeah.
I've been told that there could be consideration that they would be doing the protest possibly during the summer at 5 o'clock.
At 5 p.m.
That's still though, when you have this many people, participants coming, other people are gonna park in those spots. It's the hour, the major drop off hour between like noon and 2. The kids that are out in the morning come there for the afternoon activities, because they have AM activities and then they have PM activities. There's a lot of activity between 12 and 1 because of the way they've set up their schedule. So that's the concern, is that 12 to 1, 1:30 time. is they're losing, you know, and they have a larger number of individuals with wheelchairs. And so it's kind of making it more difficult. So whether they do it at 5 or we're in the middle of summer and all the public spaces get taken, it's still the same.
And correct me if I'm wrong, it's not, I guess, lack of better property exact space. I mean, anyone with a handicap placard could pull in
yeah.
and park there. It would just be more helpful to them during those times, for parking purposes.
Do you have to, if we approve this and we turned it into a parking spot, do you have to change, do you have to cut into the curb or anything like that?
So I'd have to go out and look and see if there's, curb cut as far as
There is not. No, I'm looking at the
we'd have to
Google.
cut the curb.
Okay, so you would have to cut the curb. Okay,
So.
and then does it have to be, I'm sorry. Does it have to be any longer or any wider or to be?
I
handicapped?
have to look at what the
Okay.
ruling is on that. I don't know the answer to that off the top of my head.
I think that we should do a site visit on this and take a look at it because Zach's Place already has parking up behind that they can use. And there's no reason why somebody can't go up the hill, pull into the parking spot, turn around and drop their loved one off. Those parking spots hardly ever get used and I've never seen a lot of hassle out there. I do agree that people have been parking there from out of town because of the protesting. But if they move it to 5 o'clock, that should take care of that problem.
I like your idea, but let's go take a look.
Yeah, I think we should go take a look and like, because there's a drop-off area, which really could be 2 drop-off areas because you've got the driveway
Right.
and then you've got the spot behind it, which is a drop-off.
And I think we should talk with somebody from Zach's Place.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
I mean, I'm across from there every day and I don't see a big issue that I'm aware of.
I also don't want to restrict this just to the Zach's Place use, like, you know,
Well,
it's
it
nice,
used to-
it might be nice to have more handicap
It
accessible
used to,
spaces.
it used to be this whole spot here was for their bus. Well,
Yeah,
now they don't use a bus anymore and they have a smaller bus.
Yeah.
That they park in the driveway. So,
You
I
can
just,
actually see it in the photo up there.
yeah, I feel like, yeah, and that's why they park it all the time now.
Yeah.
yeah.
I've never seen it out in front.
Why don't we make a site visit? So we're gonna set-
Yeah, I think we should,
We need to warn that as a meeting though, right? If there's more than 2 of us going at a time?
Yeah.
Okay. But I would definitely, I agree with you. I want to hear from, or whoever said it. I want to hear from Zach's Place. I want to know more about their logistics. But I would want to also open this up beyond Zach's Place. Like it's people that need handicap spaces, you know, have enough challenges and to say,
Right.
we're not going to give you one because I don't know why. You know,
yeah, that used to be a handicap parking spot right up there. And I'm not really sure what happened to it. And then those lines got painted in and I'm not really sure, I think people are very confused about what the lines
because there's
are.
also plenty of people that have mobility issues that are not going to Zach's Place.
Right,
And so they do need to park their car.
absolutely,
So it's not just a pick up and drop off concern.
right.
And currently, we don't have a handicap parking space there. And as Kelly just told me, there used to be one there.
Yes, there did.
So we
And I
have
don't know
2
what
drop
happened.
offs and loads, but we don't have any park.
So then the next steps would be, we want to hear from Zach's Place. Do you want to put that on the June?
Yeah.
Agenda to hear from Zach's Place a little bit more, and then in between now and then, we can figure out if we're gonna just go look at it ourselves and make our own observations, or if we need to warn a meeting so that we can all go and look at it.
The reason I have a funny feeling, the reason why that one handicap parking spot went away is because the nice people that would drop kids off at Zach's Place would take their handicap thing, put it on the mirror, and park there for the entire day. I
Well,
used
if
to
it's-
see that all the time.
But if it was a parking space, they could do that. But if it's a drop off pickup, they
But
can't.
why should they do that if they're not handicapped and they're inside with a handicapped individual? And then you've got someone else that's handicapped that actually needs that spot.
I think it
They're
depends
abusing the
upon,
privilege.
well, I think,
Well-
and I'm just, this is my own personal, I think it depends upon the extent of the disability of the individual. Some people who park cars, and they're, you gotta understand under state services, and I'm going off here, but you can't leave your individual inside and go park your car. You are responsible through your agency. You're not allowed to do that.
Okay.
So it's not like, oh, you can go
They,
park your
they
car.
couldn't bring them into Zach's place,
No.
drop them off for
No.
1 second?
No, no, and that's a legal liability through
Yeah.
HCRS and all these other places, and so that's how stuff like that happens. That's what I can tell you, because I know for my own kids, they're next to them, they can't park a car and then come meet them ever, and then I know, and I can, Kelly can speak to the same thing, it's just not allowed,
No.
it's just. you
Yeah,
can't do it.
I saw it being severely abused previously.
Okay, so our next steps are, the next meeting, we would love to hear from Zach's Place and get their point of view and what they use it for. We'll do either a site visit or we can all sort of go and individually and take a look. Chris, I would love to know more about like the curb cut, is it the entire thing? And are there any other regulations that need to be longer or wider? Are there any other traffic considerations that we need to be concerned about? And then, yeah, I think that those are all the things that I'm looking for. Does anybody else have anything that they want to know before the next meeting?
No, so we're gonna go look individually.
Yeah,
Fine.
yeah. Thank you. Appreciate it. Okay, next item is the nomination for the Vermont Council on Rural Development, Vermont Community Leadership
The 6th annual year.
Summit.
For the whole summit in Randolph this year, they asked that a representative from a municipality attends who's proactively helping the community. The chair has expressed interest in going. So if she still wants to go and no one has an objection, the motion would be to nominate her to attend the village.
Sure.
Did we just say I nominate?
Yeah,
Unless you, yeah, we're loaded.
Do we
We'll
just
see what
go,
happens,
do
August.
we just nominate?
Well, you can have a proper, I have to abstain now.
I nominate Chair McElroy as our representative.
a second,
Any discussion? Any public comments?
take lots of pictures.
All in favor, say aye.
I,
Anybody abstaining? Motion carries. Thanks, guys. We all get a free t-shirt or something. In August. Okay, next is we've added, we need to vote on whether or not to sign the passive coverage letter. Eric, do you want to just talk to us about that real quickly?
Yeah, so as the trustees know, passive provide insurance of municipality. They have agreed to cover any future or ongoing legal defenses that the village may need to have. And so this letter just agrees that the trustees agree to have that coverage provided for them.
Questions there?
Is it different than, doesn't that already exist?
You have to agree to have the coverage provided.
Yeah.
For the defense service.
I see.
Any other questions for Eric? Okay, I would make a motion for the trustees to sign off on the passive coverage letter. Is there a second?
Second,
Is there any further discussion? Are there any public comments about this? In that case, all in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
It's okay for the chair.
Oh, yeah. Next item on the agenda is Halloween discussion. We had at our last meeting, I believe, started talking about Halloween because it's spring. Why wouldn't we? So we, in the meantime, we sent out a listserv post to ask people what they thought about Halloween. Because the reason that we wanted to bring it up was because we've had concerns in lots of different ways about whether we continue to shut down the streets that we do every year and sort of keep trick or treating to that one area, do we not shut it down so that people can go everywhere? There's also the concern of, we put $750 worth of taxpayer funds into candy, as does the town, and then we collect donations of candy and then we distribute it. It's a very labor intensive thing that the trustees have been doing for quite some time. So we wanted to just have an open conversation about what people think about how it's been done, if they think we could do it differently in the future, and then most importantly, how the community can get involved in this, so that it's a larger group effort and not me or Lisa sitting on the ground counting out candy, which is lovely. It's really fun, but it's a lot. So I know I've gotten a couple of emails from people, sort of both ways. Some people saying that they would love it to be opened up to the town, the rest of the town, because some people want to be able to participate and they can't in handing out candy. Some people just want to be able to walk other places. Some people have said they like that it's all in one area and they don't want to change it at all. Some people have said you need to start collecting candy earlier or have volunteered to start helping out with that, or maybe the schools get involved. So we've got a lot of different points of view, and what we're trying to figure out is knowing that people are passionate about Halloween. And that it's all, it's everybody's kids and everybody's memories tied up in these conversations. Sort of what the thoughts are on how it is currently done, pros, cons, and then opening it up so that it's not roped off, sort of pros and cons on that. So I think actually normally we start with the trustees on this, but I know we've got a couple people who specifically said they were going to show up tonight. So if it pleases the rest of the trustees, I'd love to get their opinions first. So is there anybody in the room that came to discuss Halloween or your opinions on trick or treating in the village? Maybe not. Is there anybody on Zoom that has an opinion, wants to discuss it? Share an opinion? Okay. Guess everybody was lying to me, that's fine. Well, then I guess maybe the next step is, we can have further discussions on it. My hope was to get input from people tonight. So I don't know if we give it one more meeting.
Wonder if we could ask the PTO.
If they want to get involved.
Yes,
Okay.
come to, well, I don't know the contact, but
I know from Google because it's the West and Prosper. They're the same PTO. So I could ask somebody from there to come.
that'd be great.
It was labor intensive. It took us about 20 hours to
Yeah,
distribute candy.
so that's why.
At least.
Okay. So can we, Eric, can we put that on the, whatchamacallit, the agenda for next
Yes.
month too?
Yep.
So next is item on the discussion agenda. Again, we have moved past the voting part, is we had conversations with the owner of White Cottage about a food truck last month, I believe. And we wanted to we had never, again, because I think there was some confusion, we did not vote to approve a food truck. We do not have the ability to vote on food trucks, yes or no, in the village. There are literally no rules. There's no ordinance. So we did not vote yes, we did not vote no. All we can do is we can say, here are some suggestions. That's pretty much all we can do. If there's something on the green or on the board, yes. If it is in a parking space, as long as people are following the parking rules, paying for the parking and paying attention to all those rules, we can do nothing. So I just want to make that clear because I got a lot of calls and emails that people were misinformed about things. So let's start with that. There are no rules about food trucks. Would love to do it in the future, but not right now. So with that being said, I'd love to have a White Cottage come up and just sort of give us an update about what you've been doing and what your plans are. Could you come up front, please? Sure. And give us your name and where you're from, please?
John Hurley, I'm the owner of the White Cottage.
Okay.
And, from Killington. But I've owned a snack bar for 37 years. And see a real lack in need of more food service downtown. With the closing of the Mountain Creamery and some of the other stuff. So, I have, today actually drove to Enosburg's Falls and found my food truck. Well, it's a food trailer. So I would be asking, because unfortunately, the side you serve from would be like the passenger side in a car. So to be across from the courthouse, I would like to drive past Gillingham's. And then when the green splits, go to the left. So that, because I'm serving out of this side, so it would actually be going
In the opposite
in
direction,
the opposite direction.
which it's up to.
What, are you saying you wanna be on the north side of the green?
Yes.
So that's what you guys had suggested, right across the
No,
line.
south,
No,
We suggested south side.
The south side.
Yeah, so I would be there.
you're just
But-
facing a different direction.
I would, the truck and the food trailer would be
You just
facing
face
against
it.
traffic. So that's why I would request the first spaces. Right where the green starts, where the opening is.
We've done that before.
Oh,
Well,
did we
that's
do that last
issue.
fall?
Much
Yeah.
further From the electric.
Sustainable Woodstock.
So I did pace it out and because I did talk to Bev and I can get the electric from them. I do have, the truck does come with 2 generators also. But I would rather not run it if I don't have to. And I would purchase the extension cord to go from in the green there, right to the fence, go right along the fence at that first opening. I would purchase one of those, cable jumps, I guess you call it. You know, they're black and they have yellow stripes.
Mm.
And put the cable into that so nobody would trip on it, and then it would just stay right along the fence, so it shouldn't be an issue getting power to it.
It's,
Right, we didn't, you know that we don't want to use generators.
yeah,
Right.
but it's a little different than that.
Right, I mean, they are quiet generators and everything, but,
Too many.
yeah, no, but so I, you know, it's like an RV cord, and you just run it down. I'd have to get a 150-foot cord, because I paced it out, it was 120 feet from the power source, the green shaft. I'd be doing basically my whole menu, probably 80% of it, and there wouldn't be any ice cream. And that's pretty much it. I would do Thursday through Monday, not be there Tuesday, Wednesday, or if it's raining. And I don't know if you have any other questions, I'm not really sure what else.
Now you said it's a trailer,
Yeah,
so would you be unhitching it? I mean, how many parking spaces are you talking about?
well, if I can unhitch it, but then when I come back, if there's a car in front, I'm in trouble. Because I would be there at 11 and leave at 3:30.
So you need 2 parking spaces.
Yeah,
But he can purchase them from, the police department.
Yeah,
yeah, I would gladly pay for the parking.
yeah. All right,
The only other thing, if we really wanted it further back, is I could bring it like the night before, but I would have to leave it there for the 5 days overnight. Yeah. Yeah,
But then you couldn't, you couldn't flush it and do the other stuff that you want to do with it.
right.
Yeah.
I mean, it's nice when I get back to the snack bar, I can back it up to the door. I have a clean out right there that I can get rid of my wastewater, I can clean it, do the dishes, restock it. I mean, it does have the 3-bay sink and it's self-contained water, but, you know, you're not gonna go a week that way.
That would be blocked off. You would purchase the parking from the village.
Right.
Then when you leave, the cones would go up because you purchased those days.
Right.
That's how
And
you
that's what we
work it, right,
discussed
Michelle?
before.
Okay.
So as I'm leaving, I put things out. Next day, put it back, and then the 2 days I'm not there, I take the cones away. And maybe the night before, you know, we close at 10 in the summer, once we're going, come down at 9:30 and block them.
What hours were you thinking to be there?
11 to 3:30. Give or take, you know, still busy, we'll stay longer. But just lunch.
What about, if you're done at 3:30? what if we had, cones put back the next morning and made those spots available at 3:30?
That's fine. I just hesitate my staff, I don't know if they get there early enough to get those spots.
Well, if you put it out at 10 at night, it should be okay. If they,
Yeah.
if you say
No,
they
no, I'm
close up.
saying if I leave at 3:30, let people park.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
absolutely.
Then we have the, police put the cones out,
Well, or if he said that they close at 10 and they can do it
or you
themselves.
can do it yourselves at 10.
Every night come back down and put the cones out.
Yeah, I mean, to leave those two spaces available in the summertime would be a good idea when you're not there, so when you're not serving, when you're done. And if somebody's parked there when your staff comes, you could call the police department and ask them to put it out early in the morning, which they've done in the past.
They'd be willing to put them out in the morning. I'm thrilled.
I mean, it doesn't have to do it every single.
Yeah, I don't want to have.
Not every single morning, I'm saying if by some chance at 10 at night, someone's in those parking spaces.
Oh, if somebody's in there at 10 at night. What time do you open up the store in the mornings?
We open every day at 11,
And what time does somebody get in there to start prepping?
10, 9:30.
Yes, gotta be earlier than that.
Especially with the courthouse. Did we promise the court? No, the courthouse is just catch as catch can, right? But they have their little
Right.
things, and there's no overnight parking around the green.
It's the summertime.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
Please don't give me a heart attack.
Okay.
All this parking stuff.
We're just trying, well, and these are logistics that can sort of be figured out along the way. We'll get to you. Okay. Okay.
I think it's great.
Did you get your-
As long as we have such a food shortage need. Someday that may go away, so you always want to do this, but right now, that need is there.
Right, I mean, I see it, you know, if, say, 4 people come to town to shop for the day, there's no. You know, and I'm sure it hurts the shops, you know, and it's, I don't know, I hate to say it, but you go down to like down to Leb, and there, you know, it's all kinds of nice restaurants, and there's a vibe down there. I feel like the town's losing its vibe for a destination to come for the day. Shop and eat and get lunch and.
Do you guys have anything else? And we're gonna, so just a reminder to everybody, we're gonna vote to, no, we're not voting on anything.
Well,
Right, so we don't need to take a motion on anything.
No, unless we want to confirm the cone situation.
Well, but that's something that he can figure out. We
Okay,
don't-
yeah.
And I guess to the parking spots to reserve, that's okay for me to reserve them.
Yeah, that'll be a conversation with the police department.
Yeah, they manage them.
And they will do the peddler's license as well.
We don't need a peddler's license
You don't need a peddler's
No.
license, because it's in the street.
in the street. Well, and that's not our jurisdiction.
Yeah, got it.
Do you guys have any other questions for John before we open it up to the public?
No.
Okay, is there any public comment? Okay, please come up. Oh.
Wendy Vector, I actually just had a question. Does it have to be on the green? Are there any other places that it could possibly be in the village? And one thought I had, Brad, is maybe the police spot at the corner of Elm and Central.
No.
And he's only there a couple of hours a week.
Yeah.
Or somewhere else down, in the village, further away. My concern is that you're talking about 5 days per week on the green. And you're talking about, I'm assuming you're gonna get police, to help you go against the traffic in your park.
Well, I mean, so it'll just be, and I've already thought this through in my head, I'm gonna buy a yellow vest and 2 cones, and there'll definitely be 2 people. So it's just, if the green splits like this, normally you go this way, it's just sliding right in.
The cars are coming around that corner, making a left turn. Anyway, those are my 2 concerns, is that it's dangerous going in and going out, it's going against the
And
traffic.
going out, you would just back up.
Still, the cars are going both directions around the green. So I'm concerned about that, and I also don't like the fact that he's there so many days. I totally appreciate the need for heat. traffic food service. But we don't have the problem during the week and,
The only
I mean,
problem is it's a very expensive.
no, I understand your
Yeah.
need.
I think doing 2 days a week.
I understand, I completely understand your need to make it break even, but that doesn't mean that the rest of us necessarily have to, say that we're gonna bear the burden, if you will, of having the truck there. It may turn out that you discover that it's not enough, volume to justify being there, but, those are my concerns.
I just want to follow up, what's the burden concern, the loss of the parking spaces?
Well, it's the loss of the parking spaces, aesthetically it's not attractive. And, whether it's, people or more people on the green, those are my,
What, you don't want more people on the green?
not eating food necessarily.
Oh, okay.
Not everybody likes that. So, those are my concerns. Thank you.
Thanks. Is there anybody else? Kelly, you had something?
He covered them a bit local.
Okay, yeah, please come up and, give us your name again, just so we've got it for the minutes, please.
Kelly Lynn, basically, she covered most of it, which was the going the wrong way on the green.
Okay.
And I know I've done a lot around that green and different events. I park cars for the town and the village going, backing in for the alumni parade or the Boston parade. And people, when you have a vehicle coming facing the wrong way, it just throws a lot of people off.
I think that can be the.
And you have two lanes, one going around the end of the green and one going down to the village. When you have another vehicle over there facing the wrong way, that would be a concern.
Isn't
How
that-
are they gonna get there every day?
Is there
Technically,
anybody?
it's 3 lanes because of the parking.
Okay,
parking
we've
space.
got,
Right.
John, we're
Yeah.
just gonna open up to public comment at this point. Do you have public comment? Come on up and give us your name and where you're from, please.
Stickney, 18 Green, and I think what you're doing is lovely, I just don't like your location. I agree with Wendy that having it on the green is just dreadfully unattractive, I think the location is wrong. I don't like the fact that you're going to be going the wrong way against traffic. I wonder, as Wendy did, why the police can't change their location, because that would be an ideal spot. Perhaps they could take the spot over on the other part of the green. There must be another space for the police to be able to park, because that would be ideal for you. You'd be right there on the corner, you'd be on the sidewalk. Where the Mondaire minivan is ideal, it's just absolutely perfect, great location. There must be another spot in the village that would be as ideal without being on the green.
Well, the thing about it is the green has the tables.
People are industrious. I'm certain that if you give them food, that they'll find a place to sit and eat it. No matter where you are, they'll go and find a spot to sit, I'm certain. At any rate, thank you. I just think, once again, I think I say this all the time, I don't care who checks on green.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anybody else in the room before we move on to people on Zoom? No other public comments in the room?
I would have a question.
Okay, come on up, give us your name and where you live, please.
My name is Kim Smith, and I have 3 retail spots downtown,
Mhm.
as you all know. Woodstock Cubes, 37 Central, and Red Wagon. I live on Cloudland Road in Woodstock, and I also own 39 Central Street, a building downtown. Okay, so I have a lot of interest in what's happened. And John, I love Way Cottage, okay?
Yeah.
So, but my concern is that there was a vote. And I'm not clear what the vote was. That happened. Oh, we got like the last meeting. That was held at 8 o'clock in the morning about a food truck. Could
What
you
we were voting on
clarify
was-
what that vote
Was the communication with the police.
And what was that?
It was to be able to use the parking spaces and then pay for it. I think we said per day or per week, something like that.
Okay. So that it was about reserving parking spaces.
Yeah, because
for
that's,
the food truck.
yes,
So just be clear. Okay.
yeah, and then we also,
So
in
that
that
is-
discussion, provided our thoughts on how we thought that could best be done.
Okay, all right. So I just want to be clear about what that vote was, because there was a lot of confusion about what is actually happening with this whole thing, okay? All right, and as brick and mortar downtown, you know, John, again, we pay taxes, water, sewer. I mean, it's a huge expense to those of us that have, and we hang in year round, okay? And I'm not saying there's not a need for food. And supply and demand is where it's at. And we see brick and mortar developing in our village. Places that are going to be open year round, right? With the Farmer and the Bell. With, what's the place that's the bike shop with the
Branch camp.
right? We have OIC. We have places that are contributing more to our downtown and our food needs, right?
They will once they're open, yes.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
OIC is new and they are contributing a lot. So we have Coburn's, we have the butcher shop. And I feel like there is that need, but it's also limited to a time frame. And that is like the peak weekends and the peak foliage season, that type of thing. So, and I know you need to make it 5 days a week.
Right.
In order for it to work for you, okay?
Right.
But you have to understand where I think I'm coming from. That you may not need it 5 days a week. And and also looking out for you, like, I don't know if you need a food truck on the green 5 days a week.
Right. Well, I
It's
mean,
like,
yeah, no, I mean,
I don't know. I think that it's kind of,
I get people coming in all the time saying, you know, we're downtown, there's nowhere to eat. On a
I mean,
Monday, there's not,
on Monday, Sundays and
I
Mondays.
understand,
But
but if
again,
you
I
want me
know-
there Sunday.
Okay, you guys, I want to make sure I get your public comment.
But, okay.
And
I'm
if you guys
saying
want to
that-
talk offline, that's fine.
I'm just saying that I don't think that it might be not in the best interest to have it 5 days a week for months on end. For our development long-term. This is a Band-Aid that we keep revisiting all the time.
John
Right.
may find,
So-
John may find the answer to what you're proposing himself.
So I'm just saying,
Maybe it would just be Friday through Monday,
yeah, I just don't
but
think that
Thursday
we
might
do
not make
something 5
sense.
days a week for
But-
months on end.
but he'll find
Because-
that out based on his business.
But
If the demand is there.
If I'm not making money.
And put the cones out so the police are gonna have to put the cones out, or are you putting the cones out? That's my question. Like, are we gonna have to pay staff out of the budget to just have someone go and put cones out every?
No.
Yeah, if you guys are going to talk, can you take it into the other room, please?
I just wanna make sure that we're clear on that.
No, that would not,
Right?
that would not.
No, we're asking John, well, and we're asking John to do it.
And if
That is
the
my,
police- if the
Not
police do it,
having
it wouldn't be an
Eric
extra.
Or a staff member from the town hall go put cones out.
If they did, on an occasion, you know, they could do it in the morning like we discussed. It would not be an additional expense if they were already on duty.
Right,
No.
So-
but-
so that's just my input.
Yeah.
And I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
okay.
Thank you.
Is there anybody online that has any, public comment? Okay. Okay, so, what are we doing? Okay, so I think we've gotten sort of all of the input. Does anybody else need any more updates from John?
Oh.
Or any other input?
Thank you.
Okay, next item on the agenda is the review of the draft parking ordinance update. Lisa, I'll turn it over to you if that's your thing.
So first of all, before I start, I want to thank members of the town hall and the police department. Without you guys, we wouldn't be able to do this. Thank you, Eric and Kitty, Harry, Michelle, and Chris for doing the work that we did. Without you guys, I wouldn't have been able to pull this off. I'll wait till everybody leaves.
I'm gonna check what I thought.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, it's really important to note a couple of things. The ordinance was cumbersome. It was difficult to follow. It was, we weren't sure if it was accurate. And people do a lot of, they've done a lot of work with it. But the goal was to make it easy to read, to make sure it was accurate, and also to make sure that we made sense out of the document, especially sense that people could read it. So how it started, back in February, I went through from 2014 to 2025.
You close up.
Yeah. Thank you. Or are they going downstairs?
Yeah, but they're talking, so my feet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I went through, and so I started in 2025 and I went backwards to
Okay.
2014, making sure that if there was a change in the ordinance, it was properly done the time that the town meeting, the village meeting. So I had to go back and make sure that ordinance 6A was put into ordinance 6B, follow me on that. So the second thing is I had to compare signed ordinances, make sure each change was noted in the next ordinance, which I did. I also had to find the signed ordinances and put them in the appropriate folders or appropriate place. In 2 years ago, I think 2 or 3 years ago, state law changed. So signed ordinances have to be attached to the current minutes. So we have to clean that up and put those back. Then I went and looked at all the ordinances from towns in the surrounding areas to help shape the ordinance and current ordinance. And I can say that we are very much at the low side. The average parking meter between $1.50 and $3 an hour. The fines are also low on both of them. So I was able to take that and then take it to the police department and work with them on that. And then I had a discussion with Eric about how it should be written. What do you want from this? And his first thing was, let's just start over by, and if you look at it, we are, even though the ordinance is the same, we're just, what's the right word that we did? We delete all existing language, is amended by deleting all existing language thereof and substituting the following language. So we took out a majority of the language that's been in the previous ordinances. Next. Eric. Okay, the work. I had to look at the language to be included or can be discarded. I had to match the regulations to Vermont state traffic law. I had to receive input from various departments, review and determine new parking fines, and then send out a final draft review by trustees and other parties, which is what you're seeing right now. I had to make sure that the right state, thank goodness you were a traffic. How long did you do that for?
For quite a while.
Yeah, so he knew where to look at the laws in the book, because there was quite a few laws that we had to incorporate into these ordinances. And then we looked at fines and fees. Making sure they're easy to look at, easy to find, more appropriate than what we have. And I'm not sure, I mean, I have the regulations here and the next page is the next page, Eric. Yeah. There are parking fees. Those are the new ones we proposed and the previous ones. So, we feel these are fair and reasonable fees, that $15 is really a minimum now on a parking meter. Those should say fines. Crap. I did it backwards. Sorry, I need to say crap on the radio. Is this number 3 or number 4? Okay, so can you go to number 4? I'll go back. I'm sorry. The metered parking should say $1.50. I apologize. The previous hourly parking was $1. My fault. Can you see that?
Mhm.
All right, my fault. I'm sorry.
Like the jump.
Elm Street is 70, which they wanted to keep. Mechanic Street was 170 and is requesting it to go up to 285. And that's a 50% increase, but is well below the current market value for parking your car 5 days a week for the 6 hours at $1.50 an hour. Post office would stay the same, and then EV parking would stay the same, the 2 spaces that are out in East End Park. So those are only supposed to be used when using. They're not supposed to park there. They're not using them. So the next page is the parking fines. So to make it easy, there is something on there after 7 days. You pay, $2. After 30 days, you pay $5. The problem that, and I'll speak for Michelle, has here, when people get their park free, sometimes like Gillingham's may take a month to send them all into Michelle. So she may not know if someone overparked, so it's easier to just, did I get that correctly, Michelle? Correct. It's easier just to raise the fee to $15, and then there's no worry about days. If you're over, you get a $15 fine, no days. Winter parking ban, we raised handicap fire hydrants and traffic hazard to 25. Mechanic Street stayed the same, because on that side, they had violations, and I didn't even know what that was, miscellaneous meter violations. So we've made it as straightforward as we can here. Put a lot of thought into this. Robert was included. The cost of materials for replacing parking meters or any of the work that needs to be done is increasing. And we need to increase to make sure that we can keep up with, if we need a capital reserve fund money to replace meters or whatever, we're behind the 8 ball on this.
What's or free parking space mean?
Which one?
Or free parking space?
If you park over 2 hours in the 2-hour limit on Elm Street, you would get a $15 ticket.
So it's free parking, like down Elm where you can park. for
Right, but
free,
if
it's a 2-hour max.
it's free parking for
No, I
2 hours,
understand that. It's just not very clear in the ordinance if that's what you're saying.
okay, we can fix that.
Okay.
Yeah, no, we're just discussing. Too.
I'm just discussing the fees and now, mainly, everyone's got to read this, got to come back for comment.
Okay, so you don't want comments tonight?
If you want to give me a comment, I'd rather have you write it down and hand it to me, because I've got 5 different people who want to make comments, and I
Okay.
can,
Okay, that's fine.
Well, maybe we just go through like a section tonight, and
Okay.
because we've got the 2 parking experts here,
yeah, I
maybe
know.
that's what we do is direct any sort of the technical questions to them.
Well, some of them
But-
are easy.
Yeah, but go ahead, Lisa, continue. I'm so sorry.
Well, that's where I'm at. I mean, you probably turn the lights on now. And we can go through this with our 2 parking experts here. We could you want to do the ordinance first or discuss the parking fees and parking fines?
So, and I apologize, you probably said this, but for my own clarification, we need to pass the ordinance is one thing, and then we pass the parking fines separately,
Yes,
so that we can update the fines whenever we
right.
want.
So it's Appendix A and Appendix B, which is in your pack.
So then that means technically, we could change those parking fines anytime we wanted. I mean, we would not, because that would be
Right.
stupid,
And
but-
there's some pieces to that we can get into at another
Okay.
time.
Yeah, just a point of order on that is, they will
Yeah.
not be updated. You wouldn't want appendix A, because that would technically, the way it's written right now, it's attached to the ordinance. So
Okay,
if we look at, on a parking fees, we just get rid of the last sentence, refer to appendix A of the ordinance for current rates.
Okay, hold on.
They would just, that sentence would go away,
Okay,
and then there'd be scheduled fees that paragraph mentions, and that typical
Okay.
fees will be set at the trustee's discretion.
so it refers to something more general and not a specific leg.
Yes.
Appendix A, because they
Yeah.
might call it appendix B or something like that. Okay.
so it can just be parking fees, parking fines.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how do you guys want to go about eating this elephant. Does it make sense to go through the parking? Cause I'd rather have like a good, robust conversation and questions and answers about
Well, I can start talking about,
a,
how's that?
a section.
I'll go
Well,
through.
what section do you want to talk about first? You
Well,
want-
I mean, and I want everyone to know that certain language in here is language that I have to have.
Okay, well
which
then,
is-
so let's do that.
8301, 8302, and 8303 are state mandated language.
Okay.
Do you have a copy of this?
I'm sure I do.
Back here. Right here, first one. Right here.
Thank you, Lisa.
Okay, so that is language which we cannot, has to be written this way, has to mention those statutes. There's nothing in there that I can change. That was taken from the old ordinance and language was put in. I went to definitions on 8304 because one of the things we don't have anywhere clearly is definitions of all the types of parking. Everything from a driver, motor vehicle operator, to a method of parking, to a street, to a signage. We didn't have that anywhere.
And where'd you pull the definitions from?
Some I pulled from the state regulations, some I talked to Shelley Chris about, so I was clear. Most of that, and some of it was also pulled from other towns' verbiage.
Okay.
And so, and then, you know, there's a lot of things like when you talk about parking payments, you have to include but not limited to coins or other lawful money of the United States of America. So that's language that has to be included.
Okay.
No Canadian coins. I tried as much to say including but not limited to within this, because that means we can change it if we need to.
Okay.
So these definitions, I believe, were the ones that we all agreed on that were the most important definitions to have. Anybody have any questions about the definition?
Yeah. Okay, method of parking. Elm Street doesn't qualify for that method of parking. It's not parallel parking on Elm Street.
Yeah, it is.
No, not. in
No,
front.
it is because it says no person shall park in a roadway other than parallel with the edge of the roadway or within a designated parking line.
Oh,
So it does say it,
So it doesn't have to be parallel.
right? So when somebody else caught that one too, so. It's right here.
Yep.
So that way we've covered both.
Okay, what, do we need to add anything, for, special events where we allow
That's in here later.
head-in parking?
Yeah, that's in here later.
Okay, all right. Okay,
Alright, motor vehicle operator, obvious, parking attendant. And that is the vehicles are parked in issuing tickets for violations under the direction of the chief of police. So, parking payments, so we tell them, and I left this wide open because let's say we're not gonna do, what's that thing we have out now, that machine that's dying?
Yeah.
Yeah. The kiosk, which is passing away slowly. And they don't make them anymore, or they make them and they can't repair them.
That particular model.
Yeah, okay. So we need to leave that open. Parking payment system, same thing. Parking space is regulated parking zone, which I get into later about, and then signage. The chief of police and collaboration with appropriate departments will maintain and keep visible signage, and then defining a street. And I added the word park here because East End Park has 2 parking spaces. Questions? The next one is regulated parking zones, and this is the police chief, which is a chief of police. Under the direction of the municipal manager shall determine designated areas, streets and portions of streets within the limit of the village for free metered, permitted handicap and non-parking spaces.
I'd like to add, if possible, there, under the direction of the municipal manager and in consultation with the village trustees.
Okay, I'll put something in here. I'll figure out where to put it.
Because that's,
Got it.
we need to have a say in
Okay.
changing it those things.
So I think we add that language. I think the intent was that you would through the municipal manager, but we could clear.
Yep.
Yeah, I think the intent kind of was that the trustees would tell the manager what to do, kind of, and then doubt instruct the police chief, but I think having it clear is fine, yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, we do say that, but that's okay, I can put it there. So bus unloading zone, bus loading and unloading zone. And we define the places later. And handicap parking. Obviously. Parking meters.
Could I suggest something? I mean,
Yep.
I think we have Chris and Michelle here. If there may be a question, trustees have with parking overall or their role in this, or if they want to add anything to kind of,
Yeah.
I think the trustees can go through this on their own time and
Thank you.
pick out a question and send it to me. I can send it over to Michelle and Chris, but if while they're here in person, they stay the last hour or 2 hours.
Yeah.
If you guys have questions for them, if they want feedback on.
Do either of you see anything in here that should be changed? Or added to, or deleted, or?
I've heard comments in the past that have been made by the police concerning Mechanic Street permit parking. What in relation to the 16 spaces there, they're never completely used at all times, and perhaps they could be 18 spaces permitted. Things like that.
There's 16 individual spaces, but 18 parking.
Permits. What do you think of that?
So going from 16 to 18?
Yeah,
For the same spots.
I mean,
So there's
you know-
16 spots, but 18 permits.
I mean, I always see some open ones at all times. We could do something where if it was like an absolutely bizarre circumstance where all 18 showed up, but you have that ticket, that permit, park in a regular space back there, and you wouldn't get a ticket, because that would be so rare. There's always 2 open spaces. I walk back there every day.
Yeah, I think if, so you're almost getting into like a sharing scenario there.
Yeah.
I know John Spector looked at that this past foliage season. He wanted to do a pilot program.
Right.
Talked to someone, not sure if it was the police department, someone who basically said why it was a bad idea, but I can't remember what the reason it was.
Talk to Joe, I don't,
Okay,
and they just, yeah.
yeah, I don't know, so yeah, so I don't know if
There
they're,
was just too many moving pieces for the whole thing,
okay.
and it wasn't.
Yeah, no, maybe I think the fear was what if there's an argument over a parking space and then no one's there to, kind of help.
Well, what if there were 18 permits or the 16 spaces, park whichever one you want? Such a close area.
As it's set up now, they've designated spots, don't they?
We took the people from the library and put them over there,
Temporarily.
yes, yeah.
So you're already doing what I'm suggesting. How many did you bring over?
2, right?
2.
2. So what I'm suggesting would be continuous with what you're suggesting. Even with the 2 you've added, I still see at least 2 open spaces on a regular basis.
So what you're saying, Jeffrey, is instead of everybody having assigned parking spot, it's like if you have a permit, you can park in any of those spots
Any of
within
those
that area.
16 spots.
Right.
It's like when they oversell airplanes.
Yeah,
'cause
yeah,
they know
yeah.
people-
No, I know.
It would be just more income for the village, and it would open that permitting for 2 more businesses to have employees there.
Okay, so,
My question is that doable?
It's doable,
Will it
They're
make your
doing it
life
now.
difficult or more difficult?
it's difficult.
Can you speak to why?
Now, it's a lot of work, because I have to remind everybody, because it's all in quarters, some people pay for the whole year, some people pay for quarters. I have to keep track of everybody, it's just, and I get some people who won't pay, so I have to keep sending them emails to remind them to pay. It's a lot of work to keep track of them all, some of them just want them for the quarter. I'm just gonna be there for a quarter, and that's it, it's a lot of work.
Well, it sounds like this could be an opportunity to tighten that up and that we sell them by the year and that's it.
Which is a separate discussion because that was taken completely out of the ordinance.
Okay. Well, and adding teeth in that says, if you don't pay within 30 days, you lose your parking, like,
We could put that into there's a suggestion to do an online form.
Well, and we have this new permit software that could be. an
That's what I
opportunity.
was talking about,
Yeah, I think you're right, just tighten it up.
Yeah, no, that shouldn't, no, people don't pay things like, I can't help you. Like, you get
But
30
then-
days to, if there's an extraordinary circumstance, let's work through that, but I would imagine that's normally not the case.
I think we're looking at apples and oranges though, because part of it is, do we want to not number the spaces? One, and do we want to increase the number of spaces? Two, and is this make your life more difficult?
I think it's something that we need to look at.
Okay.
At some point. We need to go out there and look at it and see what, it's gonna be changed. It's a lot of work.
Okay. We can put that on our list.
Yeah.
It's a lot of time for.
It is.
So if you had a credit card on
Because I
file,
went to the Cannon Street, I went to the library, and I went to Elm Street. Are those three?
Now, Elm Street, how many are allowed?
I don't know that there's any, I've only got two people down there now. That's
Because
it.
this, one thing this doesn't cover is how many are at Elm Street.
No, because we've never covered that before, but so do you want to cover it?
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
I'd wanna
Because
say.
it's
how
never
many-
it's never been covered.
Yeah, that was one of my questions.
Okay.
I thought we had on the old one.
No, we didn't.
There was, I think, Jeffrey was part of the parking group, I think they had suggested how many.
Okay.
Yeah,
Like the
wasn't it
first
like
six
I
or
just
something like
don't
that.
remember the number, but
Yeah.
we did have that.
Okay, so you
Yeah.
want 6
What-
total on Elm?
was it on
I'm
both
making that-
sides
I-
of the street?
Yeah, it was no more than that.
Yeah.
But was it on both sides of the street, and was it maybe 5 on each side?
No, it was only a total of 6.
Okay.
And nobody was taking us up on it. I think it was one person.
Yeah, I know, I don't understand why, well, it's not advertised, that's why. We need to
Yeah, I
put
don't
it out
think-
there.
People come in, I've said something, they have no interest.
Well, we can make it available at a fee, and if there's
Put meters in.
Right, so I'll add that to the language.
I,
because,
I swore that, I've seen that
It's
somewhere, I'll have to
probably-
find it.
I mean, I went double cross-eyed on this stuff.
Oh,
so
I'm sure.
I'm sure it's in there, but I will take care of that.
And I have all those old reports, maybe I read it first.
No, it's probably in there, you probably didn't see it.
All right, actually, while we're on this discussion, I have one thing that always annoys the heck out of me, which is people that have houses within the community that find it easier to park on the street for whatever the issue be. There's a couple of different issues. And I just feel like these people have a home, they have a parking lot, they should park their vehicles in their own yard instead of taking places away from employees. And
I know the free parking spots, or even meter parking.
I'm talking like out behind me every day. At least 2 of my neighbors put their cars out on the road.
Street.
Yep. And then, we've got Bob Hager across the street over here that always does it.
Does he have,
It's over there.
does he have a parking
Like-
garage? I mean, does he have a, I don't think that he has
Does
parking.
it? Yes, he does. He has a driveway.
Oh, he
has a
does?
really long driveway.
Okay.
So I guess that's the question would be, I mean, is there any way?
Yeah, what can we do about that?
There that we can, because unless in the ordinance, it says residents can't park their car on the streets.
That'd be awfully hard to monitor.
Yeah,
Right, unless you want to go to 4 hours or something like that, and then, but that's also,
You'd also have to have something to indicate that the vehicle belongs to a resident, now you're not like residents
Yeah.
different parking. and
Right.
all that type of program. Be really, I get what you're saying, I do. but-
Yeah, is there? See, that just irritates me.
unless we want to think in the future about a resident.
can I ask a question that predates me? Why is some of these parking spots free and others are metered?
Good question.
Good question.
I think the free parking meters to mine, or the free parking spots, from what I've always recalled in the past, has always been employee parking. Would that be true, Michelle? From like the church all the way down to the bridge on both sides, that was always employee parking.
Correct.
Pleasant Street, employee parking. the few free spots, on this side of the street here,
So the
employee parking,
intent is for employee parking, though it's not specified, okay?
right?
That would be a benefit for sure. And so some of the other things on here, just in terms of, talking police, we're just gonna continue to ignore some of these state laws because we want to, right? We always have.
What state law?
What state laws?
Which, in regards
I'd
to,
just like to recommend everyone, this is a public meeting that's being recorded with minutes, so I'd be very careful about overly plotting laws that are, when this is gonna be recorded and the set of minutes.
Well, I would just keep things the way they are then.
I think it's worth looking into in the future. Do we want to do resident parking, or do we want to say street parking is for, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what solution here, but I think it's worth some point in the future looking at this. Kind of a, 6 months from now or whenever things slow down. Is it worth looking at?
I have a question for you all. Where can people park overnight year round?
That's in here.
In street center parking lot.
It's Mechanic Street parking lot. It's spaces on the, I have it in here. It's spaces against the river on Mechanic Street. It is the Park Street West is, there's odd and even days around the green.
on the green, yeah,
Is that average, is there a sign that says that? Does the sign go up in the winter or something?
it's the wind parking ban, but there's no, isn't it?
There's no sound sign, right?
Okay,
Yeah,
there
and
should
we,
be
so
signs.
we, signs is my next project.
Yeah,
And there's a lot of signs that we have to catch up on and take care of, so that's on my list.
Okay, but in this one that we're discussing right now, another question, maybe Chris has an answer to, also, you just have to pick up the words out. Under general prohibition during all times, any place where or in any manner such that the parking of the vehicle will reduce the usable width of the roadway, double parking, or moving of vehicular traffic would block the use of a public to less, lose one of the less, use of a public to less than 12 feet, use of a public what?
I believe that it's a roadway.
Oh, roadway, okay, I'll add it in.
Okay.
All right,
I was wondering if that,
Basically,
you.
if the car is parked too far away from the curb area and it's blocking the flow of traffic.
okay, thank you. And then also, Chris, what's standing mean? And it was alongside or opposite any street excavation or obstruction, when stopping, standing, and parking would obstruct traffic. What is standing versus stopping and parking?
If you look at the definitions in the, federal 23 in the state book, it's basically, it is stopping if it's basically like staying in place. So the stopping is temporary, standing would be not temporary, so it's like basically you're staying.
So like
What's
you're
different to that than parking?
you're sitting in the car.
Parking,
It's
yeah,
idling.
It's idling, it's a nicer way to probably say idle. Parking is parked, would be considered parked in a designated parking area. Standing is basically idling, parking in the roadway, not in a designated.
Okay, thank you. Oh, okay,
Now we're gonna get into the hot button topic.
Wait, I have another question.
Yep.
Do we have any loading zones?
Yes.
Yes.
We do.
Where are the loading zones?
Gillingham's,
Yeah, Gillingham's and the post office.
the post office, yeah. The place in front of, the
Lumber.
Montbert.
That's a loading zone technically?
It is,
Okay,
yeah.
so those are the only 3 loading zones that we have? Like official loading zones?
Do we have a loading, do we have a loading
Wait, I thought it was
zone?
Gillingham's post office in Monberry.
Well, we also allowed one behind
Right.
121 home.
Right,
Yeah, but these
Yeah.
are,
That's in the parking lot. So on Hicksville roadway, Gillingham's behind where the cruiser stand would be, and then the post office.
So not so the thing in front of Montverde is not a loading zone?
It is a loading zone.
Is there a sign that says that?
That's
Yeah,
right.
there is,
There is.
or is that considered one with the
No parking.
no parking?
Right.
Yeah,
No,
so there's not an actual loading zone.
Okay, so what are the rules about loading and unloading in that spot? I mean, technically, people should not be loading on, I
They
mean,
shouldn't be, no, they should be stopping there.
Okay.
That's been a,
But where would they go?
complaint lately. They'd have to go further down to the loading zone to the post office.
All right, okay, yes, the loading zone is at the end of the post office. Yeah, okay.
And I think,
next to the mailbox?
if I'm not mistaken,
No,
there's
the other
drive-
end. It's closest to where,
drive-
Oh, the bridge.
Yep.
yeah,
Okay, thank you. We're just going hands and butts. Okay, got it. I'm sorry, Jeff, you go ahead.
Oh,
Lisa's about to say.
Oh, I'm sorry.
no, yeah, no, I do want to also mention that I am recommending in here, and I forget where I put it, I'm tired now, that if someone, parks over a 30-minute parking in a 30-minute zone, that somewhere in here that I mentioned that it's also included as a fine. Okay, over parking in a non-metered free parking space. That includes a 30-minute parking in front of the town hall or any place else I don't think we have that. parking.
Is that enforceable?
Yeah,
I mean, logistically, is that enforceable? If you can't put chalk on people's tires and that sort of stuff?
I mean, if the parking attendant would have to have a timer.
Okay,
but I'm just trying to clean it up.
okay. But like, I'm just trying to, like, it's nice to have rules, but like.
Yeah.
I want to be realistic about what can be enforced. Yeah.
It's
It is complicated.
Yeah.
complicated to enforce, but
Okay, next thing.
we have a camera out front, right?
Sort of.
Does it run 24/7?
It's interchangeable.
Maybe we should change the timer.
Okay,
Something we're looking into.
so I'm going to the next topic, and that is the discussion of free parking, get out of jail free card. And many merchants in the village like it, and many merchants in the village do not like it. I can let Michelle speak to, we believe there's a loss of revenue in the month of January when local employees use their 2 get out of jail free cards, and you do agree with that. We have a loss of revenue. And that's so, they all use their get out of free jail cards, the 2 of them. So there's that. I was all for 0. But I'm willing to go to 1, but I don't think 2 is appropriate because of our loss of revenue. And I know that they're local, most likely locals that are doing this. And they're also right now are also doing free parking on Monday and Tuesday. So there's a variety of things going on, but,
What do you mean they're doing free parking on Monday?
there's no parking
this is a
attendant.
public meeting.
Oops, am I speaking?
Does it need to be announced?
Doesn't.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
We
God,
want
I am
parking
like-
24/7 at all times, and
Yeah.
you're okay, we'll get you.
Yes, okay,
Okay.
and sorry, I brought that up, but I don't think that 2 is, I think we really need to be considering the revenue. And if there is a significant amount drop of revenue every January, it speaks to who's using it.
But if there was like, how is that different than I use my 1 get out of free jail card in January and then I use the other one in March? It's the same amount as if I use them both in January. It's just in 1 month rather than spread
I
out,
think
right?
it goes beyond that. Because of everything that's in here, and he does so much good work. And I
Thank you.
agree with you, Fine. You're raising a lot of money for the village here by raising the fines and by raising the parking meter in particular. Tremendous increase. This is one area where I disagree completely. Because I find so many people who come into my shop to have it validated are so thankful. And it just, it makes a big difference. We have a lot of tourists who come here more than once a year. And sometimes it's that tourist who's gotten their second one. And that is just, I think the one thing that we need to keep and raising money by dropping it is far outweighed by the amount of money we're raising elsewhere by the changes in this ordinance.
Yeah. But the thing is,
And-
there are village shops that don't like it and don't want to have it, so we have to look at.
For why?
It takes time for them to, if they've got a lot of traffic going on. I mean, Eric, you spoke to them, correct?
Yeah, when we had a public forum this time last summer, what I will say is most of the, business owners that came to the forum advocated for no parking fees whatsoever. They wanted free parking in the village completely. But they also said that a lot of them felt that the question was, do they think the free parking or get out of jail free card makes people shop more or have a better experience? And what they said in that meeting was no, for the most part to me. That was 30 people who came. I don't know how many of them, but that was just the overwhelming theme from that.
Right. And I think we need to look at, I think this is a question that we may have to put out there. Because I think we have to look at the interests of the shop owners as well as the interests of the public. Because if, you know, I heard from 2 shop owners, we don't even know if anybody bought anything in this store. Gillingham's said that.
I don't care if they buy anything. They don't, often they'll come in, can you help me with this?
I am
It's
only
friendly,
passing on,
friendly.
I am only passing on
I
a
feel
different
very
opinion,
strong.
Jeffrey.
So I hear you
Okay.
saying that.
And so
Gillingham says that,
The
but I-
opinions that I've heard go more for 1 than 2. So maybe we need to put this out there and have a discussion at this point with the shop owners, but you have
Well,
to
with the
remember,
public,
there's
too.
other opinions than 2 out there.
Yeah, but people that live here as well.
Yes, so we need to, right, but we need to have that discussion, because I think that it's not done yet.
Oh,
And we
yeah.
have plenty of time, this ordinance.
Yes, first
doesn't go-
conversation of a serious conversation.
Yeah.
For sure.
Do what you want to add in some first parking?
What are your, I hope this isn't opening a can of worms, but what do you find to be the my understanding is we have parking sort of for 2 reasons. One is to move cars around, right? Like, we don't want cars sitting all day. Like, that's really, in my mind, in my opinion, is the #1 reason we do it. So that people aren't sitting there all day, because we want people to come in to shops, school pickup, drop off, whatever, visiting friends. And so that's why we want to keep things moving. And then sort of the second one is the revenue, which of course, most of the revenue goes to managing the parking. But what are there big things that you see that could, like, is what we're doing accomplishing those things? Do you think it's moving the cars and as much as we possibly can? Do you think it's not that we're trying to maximize revenue, but do you think it's kind of the best that we can do? Are there things that you guys are like, oh my God, if we just did blah, people wouldn't sit all day. If we just did this, it would magically make this problem go away in terms of parking.
It's a lot of, I'm trying to get caught up to speed, and I've been shadowing Terry and Michelle quite a bit lately.
Me
More
too.
so lately than in the past, to get a view of historically of what's been done. It's a lot of maintenance. It's things that I would never have even thought about before. The little, even the other day, the little windows in the meter that you have to look into to see the time. Some of those you have to take them apart and clean them because they get dirty, and then put them back on again. It's maintenance, it's time. Some of them need to be replaced completely. You have to take those heads off. There's locking devices. You put a new one on, you lock the new one on. It's time. It seems like little ticky-tacky things, and that's probably really an appropriate thing to say, because it's not. It's time consuming. It's Michelle's time. It's Terry Poljasik's time. My time. It's the stickers that go on the poles. It's we've had to go around and look at all the different park mobile signs that have to get replaced. Those are all very expensive. Stickers that goes on the poles, $500. The metal signs that go on, $10, $20, $100. the ticket books, $4,500. And then, you know, every time you make a little change or adjustment, that really, that's a big deal. I think by changing the ordinances, it's a step in the right direction in modernization. It's helping to pay for some of these things I'm talking about. Replacing the bulb, the signs, the ticket books, updating those. I think it's a step in the right direction.
We have kiosks, we have meters, and we have park mobile. The kiosks, we have nobody's maintained them. The company's out of California. If something goes wrong with it, we're down. I don't know how to fix it. They won't send anybody. So they're worthless. The meters, we had a guy who lived in Jaffrey, New Hampshire, who used to come up here whenever we called him, help us out, very knowledgeable. He up and quit for the company. I have nobody now for the meters, nobody to help us. And Park Mobile, you call them, if it goes down, you get somebody in Hong Kong, you know, you get no help. There's the batteries, yeah, the batteries in the meters are constantly down. Batteries are $80 for the battery in the meter. And
tell them how long
it lasts. Yeah,
Yeah, and those meters are the ones that are assisted by solar,
exactly.
and some of them are in Vermont.
And then
Solar's not great.
we've got the internet, which does not jive with us. It's totally slow. So when you use Terry writes a ticket to somebody and they've already paid, but it doesn't hit her phone. So it's a cluster.
And talk about the, your idea for parking tickets to make things easier for you.
Meaning,
You wanna look at and set up a different design for parking tickets. to
oh
make
yeah, the parking tickets that we've got, we need to set up something different. We need to arrange them something, it needs to be changed.
Like what, like,
So they need to be, we don't want the stickers anymore. We want that right on the ticket. Cause we put those stickers on there and you can't see
what's a
anything.
sticker?
Yes, true. Yeah,
it's
it's true.
Can't see anything.
Yeah.
Because it
Fine.
says where to pay for, you pay for it in the red box. Well, that's covered up now, so nobody knows anything. The sticker's too big.
Yes,
So-
true.
Well, that's one of the things I asked Michelle to do in the future is how can we design these tickets? And she's got the opportunity coming up because
And
we're
you
changing
can
the
pay now through
fees.
Municipal Pay. They can go on and pay the ticket, but that's not on there. It doesn't say that. So
Yeah, so that's a
it's,
good idea.
we have had these same tickets since 1985.
And what is preventing you from changing them? Is it us?
Nothing. We're gonna change them.
Okay. I'm like, what do you need us to do?
It's on our list, but
All right,
the
so
thing is that
It's
we-
time. and-
it's time.
It's just, it's technology, it's.
Moving forward.
Yeah,
Okay.
unfortunately, the base reason still exists why we have to do this.
right, oh, exactly. Exactly. You've got to roll over
Right,
these
Are there
spots. Because
any-
they will park there all day long.
correct.
Do you know of any towns in Vermont or otherwise that you think are like, they are doing it right? Is there like a Shangri-La of parking
Well,
management?
there's two Shangri-Las. One is Rutland and one is Hanover. Do you have comments? Hanover has their own parking enforcement.
They have a. Well, I think some of the issue there too is, it's a single system.
Okay.
Some of these communities have single system where they've gone exclusively to all kiosks or all meters or, sorry, what's the other? Yes, thank you, Park Mobile. It's a single system, so there's a lot of time spent that I think people don't realize on the maintenance of the different systems, because, you know, Terry Poljasic will go out and with Michelle, and I've seen it, they have the kiosk open, they're replacing paper rolls and buttons and fixing that, and then you have to sort of shift right over to changing a head on a coin meter. So you're doing, it's just a lot of little busy work. It doesn't sound like a big deal, but when you throw it all into the pot, it's a mentality. So some of the other municipalities with that one single system, it's a little probably, it's simpler, I would say.
And so that's what Hanover and Rutland do?
I know, and I don't want to speak for Rutland, but as far as I know, Hanover, I know, does have, I think, some coin meters still, but it's mostly the kids.
Yeah, Rutland is mostly, but they also have, both of these towns have parking lots. So there's a little difference there,
Big difference there.
big difference there, but
Yeah, they have
you know,
municipal.
I mean, I'd like to see some of this money we put aside for improvements in our parking system, because we need to come up with a different thing for the kiosk, because we're gonna have to replace it with something else. And I just heard today, what, Park Mobile? You can only use the phone, one phone has an app and you can't, so if
Yeah.
Terry's out and her phone doesn't work, there's no other person that has the app on their phone. Can you explain it better?
What?
So with the way it currently works is the administrator has the app on it. And that is the only person. There can only be one phone in use at one time. So,
if you have two people working,
right, so if Terry is out doing parking,
yeah,
and say if I wasn't busy and I wanted to do it, I essentially couldn't, because I can't get it on the phone, because you can only have one phone
Stop.
that has the app at a time,
Stop.
which I think is ridiculous. And if something were to go down with that phone, basically the parking program is suspended.
I kind of opened a whole can of worms. when we
no, that's,
started
no,
this.
these are all things we need to know.
Yeah,
I think one more thing I'll throw in there, Park Mobile takes like 15% of the revenue.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so. but-
And that's on top of a credit card fee?
Yeah, well, so when
Yeah.
when we get the revenue, they send us an invoice, which is like 15% of the revenue that came in, they take off the top.
Well, if we approve these fees, it's going to help that situation.
Sounds like we
Are there
got-
is there other options available?
Methods of,
Yeah.
like some a different vendor or a different system.
A or B?
well, Hanover uses Apple Pay and another one,
Yeah.
including Park Mobile. But these are some of the things that are deeper discussions, like, finance director needs to figure out software and these guys, and so this is a longer discussion.
Okay.
But I think that getting the money aside in a, capital gains or whatever that, not capital
That
gains,
was,
capital reserve will give us the opportunity to make some of these changes to modernize park.
Okay, I think this is just, I wanna, because it's almost 9. Thank you guys for all of your work. I think this is, again, first conversation of a series of conversations.
Yeah.
Eric, I might look to you about how do you think we should, what's the best way, again, what's the best way to eat this elephant?
yeah, I think that the individual trustees review the ordinance and send comments or questions to me.
Okay.
That I can submit questions on.
Do you want to give us a date to do that?
You're gonna be away.
Yeah, I mean, by June 1st,
Okay,
so then we can kind of have it ready for the next trustee meeting.
And if there's typos or bold or any of that, send it to me
Okay.
and I'll fix that.
okay, so June 1st, all questions and comments go to Eric.
Yes.
I'm so thrilled to get that.
But I think we made a good first step.
Yeah.
In a series of first steps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
And I just want to thank Lisa for, I think, reaching out to Michelle and Chris and.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
It was very helpful.
Yeah.
Thank you, Lisa.
So thank you.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys.
they run it, so why, why should we tell them what to do? They should be telling us
No,
what's
we
best.
don't. Okay. Okay, so we've got our next steps. Typos to you, questions, comments to Eric. Okay, we've got one more item and I just don't want to bring it up yet, but, with that foliage update, do we have anything for right now?
No, I mean, I think this got on the messaging, but it's kind of getting the word out there to people to see how they want to the basic trustees won't be involved in the foliage
Okay.
setup and seeing if people, nonprofits want to actually do the work instead.
Okay, so that's another, so we'll maybe put sort of foliage and Halloween together next month and do another thing that says, we're talking to PTO, and then maybe we can do an outreach to nonprofits and say, hey, we want your opinion on this. And I mean, and the eateries in town also, if they have ideas, I think we're all open for that. But hopefully we'll have so many new restaurants open by the fall that this won't be an issue. It'll be great. Not one, but
What are we doing for 4th of July?
What's happening? It's gonna be on that Sunday. Which is, I think, July 6th.
Okay.
They were, so I think I explained last year, unbeknownst to us, a lot of companies went out and did 3-year contracts, so they make sure the next year, which is the anniversary, they can have all 3 years. So we got a little extra encore this year, so that's the good thing we're looking for, but right now it's scheduled for that Sunday.
Okay.
and who's managing that? Is that just you? Is that
Yeah.
okay.
My office.
Would you like put out the call for help?
We tried that last year, no one came forward.
Okay.
The select board has said this is the last year that they're gonna fund it,
Okay,
so. Beyond.
so note that.
And we've spent our funds, correct?
Yeah, well, we had that one designated fund.
right.
Yeah, I think we've already designated that for next year. So we did that for whoever's gonna do it. Okay. Okay, so that's all the discussions. I actually wanted to, if you'll indulge me, just because I was thinking more, the conversation about the food truck. I am bothered by the having to back it up every day. That is a safety concern. So I don't know if you guys want to talk about that more or follow up with him, but like I don't want the police to have to do that every day, but I also don't want that happening unless the police are directing traffic, like best of intentions. Especially if it's happening twice a day, every day for 5 days, that's a lot. So I don't know if we want to talk about the other side of the green, or if he hasn't purchased this thing yet, say, whoa, don't purchase the thing.
He already purchased it today.
Oh, I thought he said he picked it out. I didn't know.
No, I think he purchased it. That was my impression.
Well, if you, yeah, well, on him.
But he said he got it today and
How much time would it take, Chris, to have an officer present to just help with the traffic?
The issue is, at that time, when you'd be doing it, it's probably just one person on duty. And if that person is called away, there is no traffic detail.
And that's twice a day. I'm not comfortable with that every day.
A person who's on duty in the village, how often would they be getting called away?
It's impossible to quantify. I mean, could be, any quality of life call or serious call would take precedence over
Right,
directing the.
I get that. It's kind of just trying to figure out the likelihood.
It's high, it's very high.
Oh,
And that's also, to me, it's one thing to like help out occasionally, especially, any business or any resident, but to say every 5 days a week, twice a day, I get designated, certainly that would have to go into like, you need to start paying the police to do that. Because that's concierge service. So I think we do need to follow up with him about like, we need to think about a different location. I mean, if he chooses to buy that, that's fine, but like, we had made our opinions clear about location, and I don't want the police to do that every day, but I also don't want him doing it by himself or with anybody else. Like that's just a lot. So I don't know if we want to look at the others recommending to him again. We have no rules, we cannot stop him, but we don't have to provide police concierge service either.
right.
It's a little bit of a slippery slope because if you do it for that instance, then it's.
And it's one thing if it's like Woodstock, something where you're like, oh, it's a big event and it's one day like that, but.
If we have prior knowledge, and I always encourage people to let us know ahead of time, it's easy to assign that.
Yeah,
But every day, would be a challenge. That's also school time. So
Potentially.
potentially, so, I mean, you could get diverted to the high school in the parking lot for whatever.
And during foliage, it's gonna be a mess.
And during foliage, so it's, I could see that being a challenge, sure.
What if we asked him to provide more? He said there'd be two of them. What
If
we
he
had?
could provide a second employee and they wore high visibility
Right.
vests, but the issue there is, I mean, they don't have any real legal,
Yeah, they have no.
there's no authority to stop that. They're
Yeah.
not. So essentially, if we tell them to wear high visibility vests and they stop traffic and they cause a crash, there's some culpability there because we told them to do it.
Yeah, I'm not comfortable with that. So I think we need to encourage him to look, or we need to start talking about a different location, whether it's the other side of the green, or if it is a different location, but.
So so the passenger side opens towards the green, that's the issue.
It needs to open towards the
It
green,
needs to open towards the
so he
green.
needs to put it backwards if he wants it opposite the
Could
library.
he put it on the north side? Does that work on the north side?
What if we could change the pitch? The other side of the bridge.
I think the issue is, didn't he say the serving window was on the passenger side?
I mean, I get what you're saying, but I don't know that you can just switch a hitch on a trailer. I have no idea what that does.
I mean, if you turn the trailer around, then he would. It'll be facing
So you're
the
saying if
way.
this was the trailer, you put it on this end instead of this end?
Yeah.
So that when you pull it?
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a thing.
I don't know either, but
It depends on, well, it depends on the trailer. I mean,
Yeah, I don't think
chassis
you
are
could do
only to
that.
buy. Yeah,
I don't think you could do that.
Maybe it's a conversation for someone just to have with them and see what option we.
yeah, but I mean, I think those were. I think that's a legitimate safety issue, and you know how I draw the line on safety issues. So
Is there an opening on the west end of the green? Could you put it on the green,
physically on the green,
physically on the green?
you need a use of green permit.
Yeah, but
Could you
is
do
there an opening that would allow him to be able to get that in there?
Could you just pull in essentially, like, so he drives up on the essentially on the north side, he goes up and then just backs in on the west end of the green. I might be way off base here, but there's an opening there wide enough. Could he just back in and drop the trailer and serve the food actually on the green, and then he's not in even a parking space?
He would need a use of green permit.
Okay.
He'd also then be using the, his,
You'd have to use the generator there.
generators, yeah.
Yeah,
Could he come in on the other end?
I mean, again, it's a use of green permit.
Yeah.
I mean, if he wants to pay for the use of a green permit for that many days, I feel like it would probably eat into his profits quite a bit.
Could we just ask Chris to follow up on this with him?
Well, I think we need to, or Eric does.
Yeah.
But
I'm only thinking because Eric's away, so.
well, here's, I mean, the question is, are there other places? I mean, there is the other side of the green. I mean, that is an option.
Then
That
he's
would
got the
be-
electric line crossing.
Okay,
Pathway.
With the other side.
That's the same issue, like the.
Yeah, it's the passenger side's on the wrong side on the other
So
side
it's
of the green.
opposite of.
oh, it's always gonna, okay.
Yeah, it's
Look at
always
that.
gonna be different.
Yeah, it's got it.
So unless he parked in the parking spot on the board. But then again, he wouldn't have electricity.
That is correct.
What, we've talked about this before, what would it take to get electricity there?
Money.
So what
time.
what if we allowed him to park there if you put the electrical service in?
It's not gonna be cheap.
Yeah, I don't know what that would entail, like, I don't
I mean,
know
if
what
somebody
it's-
wants to look into how much, I don't know.
I
if that's
thought
a-
Chris Barr was gonna do that. I thought that was,
he hasn't looked at it, and that's not a top priority for us right now, he hasn't looked
No.
at it right now.
Well, could we start with you and Chris having a conversation?
Yeah.
with John, and get back to it?
Well, and I think it's worthwhile shooting John an email and just saying, hey, this is a concern and we are not. Again, we can't stop him from parking there, but what we can say is we're not providing anybody to spin you around and you can't do it yourself. I mean, I just think that's a safety issue.
Yeah.
So if there are some other options, again, I don't know if the Mechanic Street is an option.
Needs to be where the people are,
Well, it needs to be somewhere that it's safe too.
you know.
So if there are other options, let's,
Well, we have time to work on this. That's
well,
a
but
good
I
thing.
don't want him to continue moving on with something if there's ultimately nowhere for him to be that is safe, right? We're saying that right now it's not safe and that we're not willing to provide concierge police service and that it's not safe for him to do it himself. So,
What if is there a possibility of the suggestion that people made? Not allow them to park where the police car parks? And give the police car a different space, right, on the street, right there, right?
Problem is it's a centrally located.
Yeah, I know, but the
And
first,
then where's power there though?
the first parking space. The very first parking space when you turn right there.
Still electrical.
No. But the
Jeffrey,
police,
they still have to
oh,
use,
they still have to.
use a generator.
And we're also giving a municipal space
yeah.
to a business free of charge. They've designated.
No, it wouldn't be. But, yeah, I see what you're saying. All right,
I mean, that's where I think,
tell them to turn the thing around.
I mean, buy something different.
And he may be able to, it may be that, let's give him his heads up as soon as possible.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
my impression was that he said he picked something out, not that he bought it,
I took it as picked out, when he
but,
bought it,
but we can ask him that.
yeah, I thought he bought it, too, I'm not sure.
But again, I think like, what are the alternatives?
Billy certainly bought it.
Okay, what are the alternatives? I
I'd
mean, it's
rather work
not our job to give him alternatives, it's our job to say, this is what you can and cannot do within the ordinances that we are allowed to manage. I mean, you hate it, but like. Camp Street has people, and once they know that there's food there, they will go, and if he's already had talked about using the chamber electricity, perhaps he can use chamber electricity at the Welcome Center. And it's somewhere that he could leave it, and it's somewhere that it's designated parking, that we could have him pay for a month or whatever at a time.
All those picnic tables are over by the green and the gore, but it just.
I know, but like-
Trying to figure out how to work there where it's gonna work out.
It's an alternative to think about, let's just say that.
yeah, I mean,
I figured,
and if he's not amenable to alternatives, then I don't know what's. That's up to him, if he's not amenable to alternatives. Because it's not gonna work if it's backwards. So. Anyway. Anything else on that before we move on? We're almost done. Okay. And if you have any thoughts, because you all know parking and moving traffic around. Okay, so next item on the agenda. Yeah. The next item on the agenda is, I'd like to make a motion to move into, an open meeting under one BSA 313.
Thanks, guys, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. I'd like to, make a motion to move into executive session under one BSA 313, A1E to discuss pending or probable civil litigation or prosecution to which the public body is or may be a party. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We're moving into executive session. Let's know when we're back on.
You're good to go.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we are out of executive session. No decisions were made, no votes were passed. Is there any other business to come before the trustees this evening? Please, no? Okay, in that case, let's move on to approval of minutes for April 8th, May 1st, and May 5th, 2025. Are there any corrections, Jeff?
I have nothing for April 8th. Corrections on the other.
Okay, what you got?
Here is fine. Okay. Hold on. Okay, sorry. Maybe they're all on
May 5th?
Good. The first, May 1st. Okay, under both short-term rental software contract, Emily Collins' name is misspelled. And then, May 5th. Two spelling errors.
Okay.
Everywhere where attorney Flesh is mentioned is misspelled. It's K-L-E-F-C-H, not K-L-E-S-H. There's two places where it is misspelled. So those are the two corrections
Okay.
that I think should be made. The two on the 5th and the one on the 1st.
Awesome. Okay, anybody else have any? Okay, I would make a motion to approve the minutes, the trustees minutes from April 8th, 2025, May 1st, 2025, and May 5th, 2025. Is there a second?
I second.
With those changes, any further discussion?
No, ma'am.
Any public comment?
No, ma'am.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? I'd like to make a motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The adjournment motion carries. We are now adjourned.
Yay.